A woman secretly bathed in the courtyard in the middle of the night. But she was seen completely naked by a boy who came out to use the toilet. In a hurry, she grabbed a piece of cloth to wrap around herself. The boy was mesmerized. He even forgot to pull up his pants. Coming to his senses, he quickly pulled up his pants. Before he could react, the woman appeared behind him. Then he fainted. The boy suddenly woke up in bed in the morning. He touched his still aching head. What happened last night was still vivid in his mind. He quickly pulled down his pants to check if his little brother was still there. After confirming that there was no problem, he let out a long sigh of relief. After getting up, he was doing stretching exercises in the yard. In a flash, he saw the woman from yesterday walking out of the kitchen again. The boy, his face full of shock, pointed at him. Seeing this, the woman hurriedly retreated back into the house. When the boy opened the kitchen door to check again, he found that there was no one inside. This made him think he had encountered a ghost. He hid behind a jar, waiting for the female ghost to reappear. At that moment, his grandmother returned from outside. "Shuangjiu, what are you doing hiding behind the jar? Hurry up and take the things. My neck is about to break." Shuangjiu took the apple from Grandma's hand. "Do you think ghosts get shy too?" Grandma looked confused after hearing that. "What are you talking about?" Shuangjiu quickly said, "The first time I saw him, his face seemed to turn red." He then foolishly chuckled. Little did he know, his grandmother's face had already turned crimson with embarrassment. The two of them went to the market to sell fruit. Shuangjiu looked at his own body covered in scars. These wounds looked like they were caused by swords or blades. For the past 3 years, he had been unable to figure out how he got these scars. He didn't remember anything from before. Grandma told him that he sustained these injuries from the village bully, due to excessive dust on the road. Shuangjiu and Chongjiu Shu were watering the road. He asked Shuangjiu if he had seen the female ghost recently. "Is she beautiful?" Shuangjiu said the female ghost was extremely beautiful. When he mentioned this, he had a complete love-struck expression. At this time, Grandma heard their conversation. She turned her head away with an awkward expression. Just as the two were talking enthusiastically, a group of men in black suddenly appeared in the village marketplace. Seeing outsiders arrive, Grandma's expression became quite serious, and the surrounding shops all came out with weapons. The man in black asked the village chief to come out and speak. Then he took out a portrait and asked if anyone had seen the woman in the portrait. After looking at it, the village chief said no. Meanwhile, Shuangjiu nearby gasped in surprise. Zhangjiashu, beside the ghost, quickly covered his mouth. "There are no ghosts in this world. Forgive him, sir. This boy occasionally has hallucinations." The man in black didn't believe it. He drew his sword and pressed it to Shuangjiu's neck. His grandmother rushed forward to plead. Chongjiu was just about to continue speaking, when a sword was pointed at him. The man questioned Shuangjiu again, but this time he claimed ignorance. Then the man noticed the scars on his body. These scars looked unusual. The village head quickly explained that they were from a beating he received from bullies as a child. His words had barely left his mouth. A flash of sword light appeared. The man's chest garment was slashed open by the long sword. The man threatened the village chief with his sword. If he dared to interrupt again, he would be killed. Then he continued to interrogate Shuangjiu about how his scars were caused. Shuangjiu said that he had lost his memory, and didn't know how the scars were caused. Seeing the man in black questioning so aggressively, Grandma Shuangjiu stepped forward, shielding Shuangjiu behind her. "You bunch of bastards. My grandson lost his memory after being injured when he was little." Before she could finish, a flash of sword light grazed his face. "Old woman, I didn't ask you to speak." Surprisingly, he didn't have any wounds on his face. It only pierced his first layer of skin. The man also noticed that his face had a layer of human skin mask, and he hadn't woken up from the shock yet. Whoosh! A flying knife had already been inserted into his chest. The village chief seized the long sword from the man's hand. He looked at the remaining few. Meanwhile, others in the marketplace, armed, slowly closed in. At the woman's command, the villagers swarmed the remaining 3. Although the 3 were skilled fighters, they were vastly outnumbered. Soon, they were overwhelmed. They were hacked to death. After the battle ended, everyone gathered before the woman. They only heard the woman say, everyone, you've worked hard this time. We can't live together anymore." Meanwhile, Shuangjiu looked on in surprise. Until now, she still didn't know what had happened. Her grandmother's voice was also different from before. The woman told everyone to disperse. "Go do what you need to do." After everyone leaves, the woman pulled Shuangjiu up and quickly moved him to a safe place. After returning home, she told him to pack his things and prepare to leave. But Shuangjiu said he wouldn't leave unless she told him what happened. The woman saw how resolute he was, so he knelt on one knee. "Ask whatever you want to ask." Shuangjiu was also startled. "Who are you, exactly?" It turned out the woman's name was Shen Shui Xiang. She had received a great favor from Shuangjiu in the past, so she promised to protect him for life. To protect Shuangjiu's safety, she had to disguise herself. The next second, the originally hunched old woman's body slowly lengthened. She tore off the human skin mask on her face, instantly transforming into a beautiful woman. When Shuangjiu saw the woman's face clearly, it was the female ghost he had seen in the courtyard. Shuangjiu's real name is Dongfang Mai, the two strongest people in the martial arts world. The martial emperor and the demon emperor were both killed by him. Dongfang Maui still looked incredulous. He had actually killed the two strongest people in the world. And the reason why he lost his memory was the aftereffect of using powerful martial arts skills at that time. 3 years have passed. His martial arts skills are rapidly recovering. Although his appearance is quite ordinary, he exudes a demonic aura, making him easily recognizable. He is the target of a full-scale manhunt by both the 5 imperial cities and the Demon Emperor city. Now, he has completely lost his memory, and doesn't know where to go next. So, Shen Shui Xiang suggested going to Luoyang first, because Dongfang Maui's grandfather is there. This is what he told him before he lost his memory. He urgently needed to relieve himself. He was about to go behind the big tree, but when he got behind the big tree, just as he was unbuttoning his pants, he saw a red-haired man resting there. He shyly greeted him, then went somewhere else to relieve himself. He kept turning back to look at the red-haired man. Seeing this, the man asked rudely, "Little friend, why do you keep looking at me while you're using the restroom?" Dongfang Maui said apologetically, "Your red hair is making it hard for me to breathe." The man chuckled, "Your gaze is the one that's making it hard for me to breathe." At that moment, Shen Shui Xiang noticed something was amiss. He quickly darted behind a tree. Upon seeing the red-haired man, he was startled at first. Then he immediately bowed and apologized. He then pulled Dongfang Maui and tried to leave. But he didn't want to leave. Dongfang Maui took out a piece of jerky and handed it to the red-haired man. The red-haired man looked at him with a puzzled expression. Dongfang Maui said calmly, "I heard it." The sound of his stomach growling. Shen Shui Xiang hurriedly explained that he was not a beggar. But Dongfang Maui didn't care, saying, "But he's hungry." Then he grabbed the red-haired man's hand. He placed the jerky in his hand. After leaving, Dongfang Maui kept looking back at Shen Shui Xiang, thinking he was worried about Anwei. He said, "Don't worry. That person won't harm us." Dongfang Trade asked, "Do you know him?" "He's a bounty hunter. As long as he can make money, he'll do anything." Speaking of which, Shen Shui Xiang suddenly stopped, as if he had thought of something. He asked Dongfang Trade to wait for him, and then ran back to the red-haired man. It turned out that the man was the bounty hunter, red-haired ghost. The weapon Yonghe used was indeed the merciless 8-fold blade. Deepwater Village wanted to hire him as a bodyguard. Red-haired ghost swallowed a piece of jerky. The price was 100 taels of gold. But Deepwater Village didn't have the money now. They couldn't afford to pay up front. He hoped he could pay later, but he was refused by the red-haired demon. With no other choice, he revealed his name. After hearing it, the red-haired demon immediately granted his request, and regretted not asking for more money. It turned out that Shen Shui Xiang was the daughter of Gui Jianshou, the world's greatest thief, the new leader of the Flying Heaven Gate. At 16, you can treat everything in the world as if it were in your pocket. However, Red-Haired Devil accepted the invitation, not because of his name, but because of a piece of jerky given to him by the Eastern trade. The three continued towards Luoyang, but they hadn't gone far, when they saw a group of burly men, armed with weapons, blocking the road ahead. One of them saw 3 people approaching. He laughed, "Brothers, get up and greet the guests." But upon closer inspection, one of them had red hair, wearing a red battle robe, and carrying a 2.5-meter-long broadsword on his back. It was none other than Red Hair Demon. Just then, one of the brothers was about to speak, but he was slapped on the back of his head. Then he whispered a reminder to the red-haired ghost. The man thought the boss wanted to do something else. His old face flushed red. "Boss, we should have a sequence of actions." The boss was so angry that his neck turned red. He shouted, "It's the red-haired ghost." Only then did everyone realize. When the three men from Dongfang Trade approached them, they all turned their backs. "Oh my, today's weather is so nice. A day like today is perfect for catching a wild boar and roasting it." Dongfang Trade, hearing their words, was speechless. It's hot enough to die in this weather, and they're still saying the weather is nice. In the evening, they arrived at a village. They planned to rest there for the night. They would continue their journey tomorrow. Shen Shuixiang bought new clothes for Dongfang Maui. Chifa Gui said, quite displeased, "What about me? Don't I get any? She and I are about the same size, aren't we?" Shen Shuixiang smiled, "Go buy yourself some new clothes then. Isn't Chifa Gui quite wealthy?" The red-haired demon turned his head and said, "I don't have any money." The next second, Shen Shuixiang took out a money pouch from somewhere. He waved it in front of him. "Whose money is this? So much." The red-haired demon took a look. It was his own money pouch. When did it get into the woman's hands? He snatched the money pouch from the woman's hand. "Let's see if any money is missing." Shen Shuixiang then said, "I borrowed a little money. I'll pay you back with interest when the time comes." The red-haired ghost clutched the money bag tightly. Shaking with anger, Shen Shuixiang was quite disdainful. "What a money grubber!" The red-haired ghost roared, "You are never to come near me again." He then retreated 2.5 meters. Shen Shuixiang looked speechless. As night fell, Dongfang Maui stared at Shen Shuixiang, lost in thought. He recalled the female ghost bathing in the moonlight that night. Shen Shuixiang seemed to sense it, and glanced at Dongfang Maui. He quickly looked away, his cheeks involuntarily flushing red. Then he asked Shen Shuixiang, "Why did you become a thief?" Shen Shuixiang retorted, "And why can't I be a thief?" Dongfang Maui quickly explained, "No, it's just that you're too skilled a thief." Shen Shuixiang said it was a family heirloom skill. The entire Dao Mendi, at the foot of Mount Li, protects the villagers of Dongfang Maui. They are all members of the Dao. Dongfang Maui hadn't expected the thief to also be a martial artist. Shen Shuixiang saw the disbelief on his face. He then asked him to sit opposite him. Then he gently dipped his finger into the water in the teacup. Immediately after, he pointed at Dongfang Trading with his finger. The next second, something magical happened. The water on his finger silently appeared on Dongfang Trading's cheek. His finger hadn't moved. He looked completely incredulous. He made Shen Shuixiang do it again. This time, he focused intently on his fingers. But even so, water droplets inexplicably appeared on his cheek. This incredible skill is the hallmark of the ghost swordsman in the sect. The next morning at breakfast, Fa Gui sat 2.5 meters away from Shen Shuixiang. He was afraid his wallet would suffer again. And just then, 3 uninvited guests arrived at the hotel. They were notorious wanted criminals, well known on the government's wanted posters. They walked around, looking around cautiously. Suddenly, their expressions changed. Their eyes widened. It was as if they had seen something terrifying. Then, just as quickly, they regained their composure. At this time, the eldest brother whispered, as if he hadn't recognized us, "Just do something and we'll go out." So the 3 of them pretended to get ready to leave. Just as they were about to reach the door, Shen Shuixiang suddenly opened his mouth and said, "You guys, quickly sit down and eat." The 3 of them were startled. They hurriedly sat down. Immediately after, they glared fiercely at Shen Shuixiang and Dongfang Maui. And just then, the boss noticed the scar on Dongfang Maui. Then he saw him with a beautiful woman. He instantly recalled the bounty from the 5 Emperor City. So the 3 of them didn't linger, leaving quickly. Little did they know, the red-haired devil saw everything. And the 3 of them had just seen him. That's why he was preparing to leave. But unexpectedly, he encountered the person the Five Emperor City was looking for here. Red-haired ghost greeted them and chased after them. The three brothers dashed out of the hotel and ran as fast as they could. They kept looking back to see if anyone was chasing them. Just when they thought they were safe, Red-haired ghost was already waiting for them ahead. Originally, Red-haired ghost didn't intend to cause trouble for them. It's all because their eyes saw what they shouldn't have. The three of them knew they couldn't leave easily. So they all drew their weapons, preparing for a desperate fight. They had a numerical advantage with 3 people on their side. They planned to use a rotation strategy to wear them down. But even so, their bodies couldn't help but tremble. They saw the red-haired devil's ruthless back-peeling knife emit a red glow. Then, a flash of the blade. Someone's neck was slashed. As he was about to strike again, he instantly felt a massive surge of energy behind him. He turned around to see a person swiftly attacking him from behind. In a hurry, he turned and quickly swung his blade. The two forces collided. There was a loud bang. The newcomer was the master of the 3 brothers. He was known as Grassbag Chien, one of the 9 dragon freaks, a formidable expert in the martial arts world, famed for his ghostly palm. I didn't expect the old man to show up before the young ones even finished fighting. But his ruthless backblade specializes in sending impatient old men to the next world. The entire blade was enveloped in a red energy. Chao Dao Qian also drew his long sword from his back. Immediately, his body was enveloped in a flash of lightning. His figure shot out. In a flash, the 2 sides exchanged blows several times. The righteous brothers standing by were somewhat worried at this moment. Given Master's personality, he'd definitely chop them into pieces for causing this trouble. To appease their master's anger, they thought of the deep water tank they saw at the hotel. Their master's favorite was the mermaid. The 2 dashed towards the hotel, afraid they wouldn't be able to catch her if they went back. But they never expected to meet them halfway. The 2 walked towards their deep water tank with smiles on their faces. He tugged on Dong's sleeve. Fang Maui then put his hand on the software at his waist. Yi Shixiang walked up to them. He immediately told Shen Shui Xiang to leave with them. Dong Fang Maui, who was standing beside him, questioned them. The 2 brothers confronted him. Immediately after, the bald man swung his knife at Dong Fang Maui. No need for that. Just disappear, little brat. The sudden attack startled Dong Fang Trade. Meanwhile, Shen Shui Xiang beside him also made a move. He drew the soft sword from his waist. A flash of sword light. The man's hand and weapon were severed from his body. The bald man clutched his severed wrist, screaming in agony. Seeing this, the boss stepped forward and helped his injured second-in-command. He glared fiercely at Shen Shui Xiang. Immediately after, he grabbed his weapon and charged towards the 2. 2 flashes of light were seen. A bloody hole appeared on the foreheads of the 2 brothers. The 2 flashes of light spun around and returned to Shen Shui Xiang's hand. After killing the 2 brothers, Shen Shui Xiang sensed that Sui Fa Gui was fighting someone of equal strength not far away. At that moment, he was considering whether to take the risk and join him, or we could just go around. Meanwhile, Dongfang Trading sensed a battle ahead. They could clearly sense the auras of both combatants. He gestured for Shen Shui Xiang to go and take a look. This was a sign that his internal strength was slowly returning, although his memory hadn't returned yet. At this time, the battle between Chifa Gui and Chao Baoqian had reached a fever pitch. Chao Baoqian had traces of blood on his mouth and cheeks. He no longer had his initial arrogance. The red-haired devil's strength truly surprised him, giving him no chance to breathe. The red-haired devil unleashed a burst of attacks, attacking again and again. Under his relentless assault, Chao Baoqian struggled to cope, having no opportunity to counterattack. Although he blocked Akihito's attack, he was still pushed against the tree by the powerful force. But before he could regain his senses, Akihito had already appeared before him. He swung his sword, and his body, along with the tree, was cut in half. This scene happened to be witnessed by Shinsui and Higashi, who just arrived. Shinsui bandaged his wound. Then he handed him an apple. Meanwhile, Dongfang Maui, nearby, was eating an apple and practicing the ghost blade hand. Upon seeing this, Chifa Gui's expression changed slightly. He got up and wanted to move away from them, but before he had gone far, Dongfang Maui suddenly looked pained behind him. Clutching his stomach, he fell to the ground. The intense pain caused him to gently pick up Shen Shuixiang and Chifa Gui. A completely bewildered look. He didn't know what happened. Meanwhile, fragments of memory appeared in Dongfang Trading's mind. A boy worshipped 5 land immortals and took an elder as his master. The 5 masters each passed on 300 years of their inner strength to him. The first master taught him invincible martial arts techniques, leaving his opponents helpless. The second master taught him fist, palm, and leg techniques. The third master taught him unique skills and medicine. 4 his master taught him light skills and swordsmanship. 5 his master imparted to him unparalleled swordsmanship. But even so, the boy only had 10 years. And he couldn't easily use these skills. If he overused his skills, it would lead to the side effect of memory loss. And it was accompanied by occasional bouts of severe pain. Lan Hai was an orphan. To survive, he worked as bait for hunters in the Kunlun Mountains. During a hunt, he lured a large white goose. He quickly ran to the designated meeting point. While running, he shouted for everyone to get ready. At that moment, 3 eyes appeared from a hidden corner. They saw that the prey was actually a large white tiger. The 3 of them instantly lost their nerve. The boy, seeing no movement for so long, ran towards the trap he had set up earlier. He leaped up, and the large white tiger behind him followed, swiping at him with a claw. Its claw grazed his back, and then he landed, rolling over, while the large white tiger behind him fell into the pre-prepared trap. The boy excitedly shouted, "Uncles! Come out quickly! The 3-person room is no longer dangerous." They came out from their hiding place. Holding spears, they lunged at the white tiger. The first throw missed. Just as they were preparing to throw their spears again, the white tiger suddenly leaped out of the trap. In a flash, 2 men had their necks bitten off. The remaining man grabbed a spear and stabbed the tiger in its rear. The enraged tiger turned its head and roared. The man was startled by the roar. Immediately, he was knocked to the ground by the white tiger. After killing the 3 men, the white tiger slowly turned to look at the boy nearby. The boy was holding a dagger. His eyes were filled with determination. The white tiger lunged at him, but he stood there, motionless. Just as the white tiger was about to bite his neck, the boy plunged the dagger in his hand into the white tiger's neck. In the end, he still used himself as bait to kill the white tiger. Little did he know that everything that happened here was being watched by 5 old men on the mountain. From the moment the boy first arrived at Kunlun Mountain, they noticed it. Every day, they took pleasure in observing the boy's life. Both the boy and the tiger were silent. One of them suggested going to take a look. Then, they were seen making a swift movement. The next second, they appeared beside the boy. One of them went to check. The white tiger was dead. The boy was surprisingly still alive. But their bodies couldn't easily touch others. Although the boy brought them much joy over the years, in the end, they could only watch him die. After they left, tears streamed down the boy's cheeks. Night fell. A pack of wolves, seemingly drawn by the scent of blood, arrived. Seeing that the prey didn't move, he was about to start biting. But just then, an old man suddenly appeared, and drove away the wolves. At this time, the boy was still breathing. He hadn't died. He couldn't help but marvel at the boy's tenacious vitality. At the boy's neck, he discovered a necklace. It's engraved with 2 characters, hat. Perhaps that's the boy's name. And that old man was one of the 5 old men from earlier that day. He intends to give his life to the boy, to let him live on. The boy is covered in wounds. Only a faint breath remains. To save him, he can only transfer his life force into the boy's body. And just then, he looked back, and the other 4 elders had appeared behind him. Some of them advised him to give up saving the boy, saying that giving up his imminent ascension to immortality for a stranger was not worth it. But the elder knew he would die, and still wanted to save the boy. All 5 of them were deeply sinful. Trapped in the Kunlun Mountains, he repented for 300 years. Now they have completed their transformation. They're just 1 step away from becoming immortals. But the old man believes he is unworthy of entering the immortal realm. Compared to that, he would rather save this child. The old man sees that the child is about to die. He hurriedly begins to transmit his inner energy to him. At that moment, one of them also expressed their unwillingness to go to the immortal realm. They were willing to join in saving the boy. Then 2 more people joined them. Finally, Only the eldest brother was left roaring, even if we save him, he won't be able to withstand our powers. He'll go mad within 10 years. But the others were still willing to treat him, even if he only had 10 years to live. But that was also his fate. Seeing his old companions so resolute, if these people were all gone, there would be no point in him going to the immortal realm alone. So he joined them. Under the combined efforts of the 5, the boy successfully woke up. The combined internal power of the 5 masters, totaling 1,500 years, was then passed on to the boy. His body simply couldn't bear it. On a stormy night, the boy was in excruciating pain all over. He endured the pain and came to the cave to find the 5 immortals. As soon as they met, the old man beat him up. It turned out that it was his after-effects acting up. Only by using external force to hit his body could his suffering be relieved. The only way to reduce the frequency of his after-effects was to practice meditation and martial arts. So the boy formally took the 5 immortals as his masters. Because the 5 elders had transferred all their inner energy to the boy, they lived only 5 years before passing away. 5 years wasn't enough time for the boy to digest the power he received. At the moment of their deaths, Master Third told him to seek out the guardian of the martial arts world after they were gone. He might be able to help him with the after-effects. The boy, having bid farewell to 5 masters, returned to his dwelling at the foot of the mountain. He just opened the door, but found a strange man inside the house. He asked with caution, "Who are you?" The man gestured for him to come in. Then he took out a necklace. "Is this necklace yours?" The boy snatched the necklace from the stranger. "Why are you going through other people's things?" But the next second, the man also took out an identical necklace from around his neck. "This is the soul stone. I gave it to your mother before you were born. This stone has the property of finding its other half." After speaking, the man handed the stone to the boy. The boy took the pieces and put them together. The tops of the boots fit perfectly. The man didn't know the child's birth date. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken so long to find him. He hoped the boy would forgive him. The boy looked at the strange man before him. This man was the father he had longed for. The man told him his surname was Dongfang. "My name is Dongfang Gaotian." The boy stared at the man who suddenly appeared, lost in thought. "My father's name is Dongfang Gaotian, and my name is Dongfang Maui." Upon learning that Dongfang Maui was used as bait by the hunters, helping them lure some wolves and tigers, Dongfang Gaotian could no longer hold back. He immediately embraced Dongfang Maui. At that moment, Dongfang Maui felt his father's warm embrace. An indescribable feeling welled up in his heart. Dongfang Gaotian decided to take him home. They arrived at a village at the foot of the mountain. Dongfang Maui was attracted by the steaming buns in a nearby bun shop. But Dongfang Gaotian had no money. He only had a knife on him that was worth anything. But to ensure that Dongfang Trading could enjoy hot baozi, he sold his own sword to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper took it and drew the sword. The blade was full of nicks. Who would want a sword like this? It can only be sold as scrap metal. He had his employee Lao Zhang come and take a look. Because Lao Zhang used to be a dancer, he took it and examined it carefully. He also thought it was only worth the price of scrap metal. Dongfang Gaotian was speechless. His weapon was forged by a renowned general. At this time, Dongfang Maui tugged at his clothes from behind. Dongfang Gaotian turned around. He said with a smile, "It's all right. I don't need a sword now anyway." Finally, he traded his knife for a bag of buns from Dongfang Trading. The two went to a shady spot to eat the buns. Dongfang went to a nearby stream to fetch water. He then noticed blood in the water. Following the trail, he saw a woman covered in blood lying by the river. But Dongfang didn't save the woman. Instead, after fetching water, he went straight back to his father. As the two were enjoying their steaming hot baozi, a group of masked men suddenly appeared. One of them stepped forward and asked, "Have you seen an injured woman?" As soon as he finished speaking, the man's expression drastically changed. He recognized that the man before him was no ordinary person. It was Death, one of the deaths of Wuwang City. And just then, my companion suddenly called out here. He noticed a man subtly bowing to Dongfang Gaotian before quickly disappearing to the east. Dongfang Gaotian turned to Dongfang Mao. "Have you seen an injured woman?" At this moment, Dongfang Mao silently lowered his head. A group of men in black were seen carrying an injured woman from the riverbank. Someone clearly fainted on the ground. Why did you ignore it? Dongfang Mao still remained silent. The injured, unconscious woman slowly opened her eyes and looked at Dongfang Gaozhen. She weakly said, "Save me." Dongfang Gaozhen stopped the group of masked men. He asked, "Who is this woman?" A deathly question. The man dared not refuse to answer. He replied, "She is the daughter of the ghost swordsman." Dongfang Gaozhen wanted to ask further, but he was told that he couldn't be informed. Just then, another group of people descended from the sky. The leader was none other than the demon emperor, Yukali. The people of the 5 imperial cities never expected to encounter the demon emperor here. Dongfang Gaozhen asked them to send the woman to him. The man glanced at demon emperor Yukali, and then sent the woman over. The woman is Shen Shui Xiang, a descendant of the Feitian Dao sect. People from the 5 emperors' city killed her father, Gui Jianshen, to find the treasure hidden by the Feitian Dao sect. And Mod Yukuli came for the same reason. He also recognized Dongfang Gaozhen as Death, one of the 4 kings of the 5 emperors' city. However, Dongfang Gaozhen had already left the 5 emperors' city. Mod looked down on the former lackey of the 5 emperors, one of the 4 kings. He reached out to grab the woman. But just then, suddenly, a powerful energy appeared above. Everyone looked up at the same time. They saw a man descending rapidly from the sky. The arrival was the 5th emperor. 900 years later, the 5th emperor's arrival instantly heightened the tension to its peak. He looked towards Dongfang Gaozhen beside him. At that moment, he was using his inner energy to heal the woman. The martial emperor was quite puzzled. He's about to die himself. And yet he's wasting his vital energy saving a woman. He hoped that Dongfang Gaozhen would return with him. He apologized for his daughter. He also said that he would always consider him his son-in-law. Hearing the martial emperor's words, the demon emperor couldn't help but laugh out loud. This was the funniest joke he'd ever heard. Using his own daughter to control others. Meanwhile, the woman, under Dongfang Gaozhen's treatment, regained her mobility, learning that the one who saved her was the war god. She was astonished. Dongfang Gaozhen agreed to save her, but she had a request. It's just to have her use her abilities to protect Dongfang Mao. The woman agreed to her request. Dongfang Mao looked at this woman. It was all because of her that he felt a day of fatherly love and then it was gone. Dongfang Gaozhen comforted him. Don't look at others with hateful eyes. And don't live like her. Anyway, he doesn't have much time left. Don't be sad for him and shed tears. He asked Dongfang Trading to go to Luoyang to find you. Then he acupunctured his pressure points. He let the woman take him to transform. Dongfang Gaozhen asked Shen Shui to wait. Dongfang Trading went first. He unleashed his full power. Prepare for a tough fight. The martial emperor and his mother. Those people still want to chase after those who escaped. They were beaten to a bloody pulp by Dongfang Gaozhen's single palm strike. Even if he is a war god, he's facing the top 2 experts in the world. He not only has to deal with the attacks of 2 peerless experts, but also guard against the attacks of their subordinates. And they all carry weapons. But he had already given his son his weapon a moment ago. Baozi was under attack by the martial emperor and the demon emperor. He couldn't dodge in time. He was struck by the martial emperor's sword. This scene happened to be witnessed by Dongfang Maui, who hadn't gone far. At this moment, his acupoints were sealed, and he couldn't move. He could only watch helplessly. He struggled desperately. He tried to break free from the restraints. Suddenly, Dongfang Maui roared. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He forcibly unblocked his acupoints. Then he broke free from the deep water tank. He first went to the bun shop and with one palm strike, severely injured the owner. He retrieved his father's sword. Then, he used light body skill to rush back. Seeing Dongfang Maui using light body skill, Shen Shui Xiang was shocked, but he still followed behind. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dongfang Gaozhen had already been defeated by Wu Huang and Mod. He lay on the ground, near death. Just in time for Dongfang Maui to see him. The energy within him erupted uncontrollably. He slashed out with his sword. A powerful sword energy instantly sent those people sprawling. His eyes were bloodshot. Anyone who stood in his way was cleaved in two. He went to his father's side. The martial emperor and Luo Di saw him approaching. Everyone retreated 2.5 meters. He painfully collapsed on his father, calling out to him. But at this time, Dongfang Gaozhen was already on the verge of death. He looked at his son. Using all his remaining strength, he said, "I love you." The son then closed his eyes forever. His father's death plunged Dongfang trade into utter chaos. He roared, charging towards the 5 emperors. The 5 emperors and the demon emperor simultaneously sensed the danger. The 5 emperors raised their swords to block. Dongfang Maui spat out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying. He possessed immense power, but he didn't know how to harness it. In the midst of his clash with the martial emperor, he struck me with a palm strike before I knew it. I collapsed to the ground. The martial emperor pressed his sword to my neck. "Who taught you your martial arts?" Shen Shui arrived shortly after. Dongfang Maui was knocked to the ground. He then drew his sword and charged towards the martial emperor. The martial emperor had just turned around. Dongfang lay on the ground, motionless. He suddenly lifted him from the ground. He thrust his sword into Wu Huang's body. The demon emperor beside him looked on in surprise. He pushed Wu Huang against a tree with his sword. He finally stopped moving. But it wasn't over yet. Then he drew his sword out. He swung the tree sword in a fit of rage. In the end, even the large tree was severed in two. At this time, Dongfang trading had gone berserk. Seeing that the 5 emperors were dead, the demon emperor, who had just suffered internal injuries in his fight with death, was no match for him now, and so he decided to retreat. But at this moment, the energy within the Eastern trading body had completely erupted. He raised the sword in his hand. The surrounding stones also floated in midair. The demon emperor felt this powerful pressure. He cursed, calling him a madman. He turned and ran. Seeing him run, those boulders, under the control of the Eastern trading body, swiftly attacked him. Having no choice, he stopped to defend himself. Just after he shattered the incoming stones, he found Dongfang Maui hiding behind a tree. He slashed out with a burst of blade energy. The moment the tree splintered, Dongfang Maui lunged at him with his sword. Too late to dodge. Luodi was pierced in the chest, immediately split in two. Dongfang Maui's eyes were bloodshot. After killing the demon emperor, he looked towards the deep water tank beside him. Then he walked towards it with his sword. After passing by it, he collapsed directly beside his father. Then he passed out. A massive amount of memories flooded his mind. It caused immense suffering to Eastern trade. His lost memories were slowly returning. He asked Deepwater Village to beat him. It was hard to refuse such an unreasonable request. So he waved his jade hand, gently hitting himself. Eastern trade was speechless in an instant. He told him to hit with all his might. The red-haired demon told him to get up. Then he kicked him away. This kick made Dongfang trading much more comfortable. He told the red-haired demon to continue with force. Raining fists pounded against his body. Shen Shui Xiang couldn't bear to watch. He turned his head away. Under the red-haired demon's fists, the raging Dongfang trading gradually calmed down. The Dongfang trading group arrived at the Dongfang family's estate in Luoyang. His grandfather learned that his son had died beneath Kunlun Mountain. He was overcome with grief. He smashed the table in front of him with one palm strike. He instructed the butler and the coachman to take the others to rest. He learned of his son's death from his grandson. This was even more heartbreaking. Meanwhile, the Dongfang trading group wandered around idly. At his grandfather's door, he sensed a strong killing intent. Just behind the curtain, he thought a killer was hiding there. So he slowly approached, and suddenly pulled back the curtain. But there was no one there. Only a box sat there. He was drawn to the box, but it was empty when he opened it. However, as he left and was just reaching the door, he felt that murderous aura again. He was sure that the aura was coming from behind the curtain. He went back to it. The source of the murderous aura was this wooden box. He opened the wooden box and examined it carefully. It was definitely an empty box. There was nothing else inside. This made him wonder. Just then, the coachman suddenly appeared behind him. He told Dongfang Trade that the box contained the Dongfang family's treasure, the Wind and Thunder Blade. Only it's invisible to ordinary people. The Dongfang family is the lineage family of the Fenglei sect. To use the Fenglei blade, one must master a type of wind and thunder energy, And this wind and thunder energy can only be absorbed by those with the Dongfang family's bloodline. Dongfang Mao is now the Fenglai sect's sole heir, but his grandfather doesn't intend to teach him. Instead, he wants him to absorb literature. After they arrived safely in Luoyang, the mission for the red-haired ghost went smoothly. Shen Shuixiang brought him to a secluded alley. At first, the man thought the young lady was being held for ransom. After confirmation, he gave Shen Shuixiang a 100-tael gold promissory note. Shen Shuixiang handed the money to the red-haired ghost. After receiving the money, the red-haired ghost was a little unhappy. I previously borrowed money from him to buy clothes for Dongfang trading. I promised to repay him with interest. Red-haired ghost's actions angered the old man. He thought the man was too petty. He had no sense of human kindness. Just 1 tael of gold, and he still couldn't let go of the eating ghost. He thought he was interfering too much. Just obediently take the money. He even threatened him, telling him to be careful, that relying on the rats hidden in this alley would be useless. The old man didn't back down either. If the rice ghost really dared to do that, he wouldn't be able to leave alive. The two sides were on the verge of a fight. The red-haired demon suggested a bet. A bet on whether he could survive in this alley. The stakes were the 100 gene he was carrying. After confirming it was Deepwater Village and the red-haired demon, the old man had no particular preferences. It's better not to gamble. It's better to commission a task. He hoped the red-haired demon would help him find someone. The time frame is 1 year. The reward is 100 caddies. Hearing about the money, the red-haired ghost immediately changed his attitude. He put his arm around the old man's shoulder and walked away, discussing the details. Watching the two leave Shenshui village arm in arm, he smiled helplessly. On the other hand, after Dongfang trading arrived home, his grandfather didn't intend to teach him the family's martial arts and the wind and thunder blade. Instead, he hoped he would study culture. However, Dongfang Mao wanted to be a gatekeeper at the Martial Arts Alliance. This angered Dongfang Yuan greatly. Just as the two were at an impasse, the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance, Che Zhonghe, suggested that Dongfang Mao could do the administrative work. Then he would be responsible for finding capable people to teach him culture. Dongfang Yuan pondered for a long time after hearing that. Finally, he agreed. After the Martial Alliance leader returned, he immediately found Gongguan Shi, and asked him to bring Dongfang trade in no matter what tomorrow. Then he sent someone to find Tang Junshi, asking him to be responsible for teaching Dongfang trade's cultural courses. Initially, Tang Junshi was reluctant. He thought it was making a mountain out of a molehill. But the alliance leader repeatedly requested it. In the end, he even brought out the Martial Alliance's guards. Tang, the strategist, had no choice but to agree. The next day, in front of the Martial Alliance's gate, Gongguan Shi and the captain of the guards were waiting at the gate early. After Dongfang trading arrived, he saw so many people at the gate all looking at him. With a look of displeasure, he said, "Why are you all staring at me?" Then he walked over to a guard nearby and smiled slightly. "I'm here to apply for the position of a guard." At this moment, large beads of sweat rolled down the man's forehead. He stammered, not knowing what to say. Dongfang Maui thought the guards were fully recruited. At this time, the steward nearby stepped forward and asked, "Are you here to apply for the position of a guard?" But Dongfang Maui replied, "No. He came to apply for the gatekeeper position." It made the mansion quite embarrassed. So they took him to the office to complete the onboarding process. 20 taels of silver per month. Dongfang Trading was very dissatisfied. They thought that offering such a low wage was trying to exploit him. In the end, he directly asked for 5 taels of gold. The mansion seemed somewhat reluctant. Dongfang Maui stood up and was about to leave. Seeing that he was about to leave, the manor called out to him, "I can't make this decision on my own either. I need to ask my superiors." So he sent a voice transmission to ask the alliance leader, and the alliance leader told him to keep him no matter what. In the end, he had no choice but to agree to Dongfang Maui's request. The captain of the guard standing nearby was so shocked his jaw dropped. He only makes 8 taels of silver a month as captain. This kid actually gave him 5 taels of gold. After changing clothes, Dongfang Maui went to the back door of the brothel at 500 to start work. Soon, his day's work was over. Led by someone, Dongfang Maui arrived at the Tang Junshi's residence. Tang Junshi is a descendant of the Tang clan of Wuzhou. He's a once-in-a-generation genius. It is precisely because of this that the major forces are vying to win him over. The Five Emperor City and the Demon Emperor City are particularly fierce in their competition, even to the point of risking a bloody battle. The Tang family was annihilated overnight. Only Tang Jinqiu survived, under the protection of the Martial Alliance. Dongfang Mao was never properly raised, hence his very impolite speech. As soon as they saw Tang Junshi, they surrounded him and shouted, saying he looked like a woman. This made Tang Junshi furious. Due to Dongfang Maoi's low cultural background, he could only start learning from elementary school. During this time, Dongfang Maui guarded the Wulin Alliance during the day, and at night, he went to Tang Junshi's place to learn culture. This day, Dongfang Maui guarded the back gate as usual. His partner went to the restroom because he had a stomachache, leaving him alone. And just then, a group of people came from a distance wanting to enter. Dongfang Trade asked them to identify themselves. The leader was very impatient, telling him to open the door quickly. But his partner happened to be in the restroom. Dongfang Trade didn't recognize these people. As a guard, he insisted that these people identify themselves. The leader's face turned red with anger. I am the captain of the Wuying team, White Tiger Group. Next, Dongfang Trade asked them whether they had a warrant or not. Without one, they wouldn't be allowed to attack. This completely enraged the Wuying captain, but he still suppressed his anger. Then he walked forward, and just at that moment, Dongfang Maui moved his hand holding the knife. A flash of blade was seen. The captain's hat cord snapped. At this time, the Wuying team members drew their weapons one after another. The captain waved his hand. He signaled his men not to move. He himself slowly drew his weapon and approached Eastern Trade. Open the door immediately. I've already identified myself. Otherwise, I won't be responsible for what happens next. But Eastern Trade didn't back down at all. No nameplate means no entry. Captain Shadowless thrust his sword upwards towards Eastern Trade. It was supposed to be a fatal blow, but he didn't expect Dongfang Trading to block it easily. Then, the other members charged with weapons. These people were no match for Dongfang Trading. Soon, everyone, including the captain, was knocked to the ground. The sound of fighting quickly reached the captain of the guards, who thought something was wrong. When he brought people to the door, only Dongfang Trading was still standing. Seeing the leader of the shadow team lying on the ground, everyone's expression changed. At this time, the shadow team leader, bruised and swollen, pointed at the Eastern Trade. The next day, the Martial Arts Alliance leader summoned the captain of the guards to his office. The captain of the guards thought the leader would ask about Suyu, but instead, he only inquired about the event simply. Finally, he was even going to award Dongfang Wangyu. This boy is the greatest martial artist in the world. The hero who killed the 5 emperors and the demon emperor is now guarding the back gate of the Martial Alliance. Not only that, he's also learning elementary knowledge from Advisor Tang. Since his family was destroyed 6 years ago, Advisor Tang has been hiding in the Martial Alliance and hasn't gone out. Now he wants to go out for a walk. But all the guards are worried about the dangers outside, looking at Advisor Tang's longing gaze. Finally, all the guards agreed to his request. After Tang Junshi changed his disguise, the two left the Wulin Alliance together. At the gate, they ran into Dongfang Mao, who served as a guard. He recognized Tang Junshi in disguise at a glance. He asked him where he was going. Tang Junshi ignored him, but his guard stopped him. Dongfang Maui continued to ask, "Will you be back tonight? Don't be late for class." Suddenly, a sword was pressed against his chest. It turned out to be Quan Hui, who felt he had asked too many questions, and was delaying the military strategist's progress. Dongfang Maui looked unhappy. Why did everyone like to point swords at him? He felt like drawing his sword to fight back every time he did something. The atmosphere instantly reached its peak of tension. At this moment, Tang Junshi suddenly spoke, "I will be back on time." Quan Hui glared at him fiercely. Dongfang Maui didn't back down at all. After the two left, his companion stepped forward and said, "Do you know who that person is?" Dongfang Maui was quite disdainful. Clearly, that person was the one who used weapons first. "You still expect me to remain motionless?" My companions were speechless. Does the leader of the martial alliance really reveal his secret techniques to you? Are you going to jump in too? Dongfang Maui replied seriously, of course. No matter who it is. Drawing a sword means they want to kill me. I'm not going to stand there stupidly waiting to die. My companions were even more astonished after hearing that. What an idiot. Since you're the leader of the martial alliance, and you have the power of life and death over all the guards. Dongfang Maui's expression grew even more serious. No one has the right to control my life or death. After sunset, having finished a day's work, Dongfang Maui asked his companion, Mao Zhu, which direction it was. Upon learning it was southeast, Dongfang Maui did not return to Wuling King's palace with him. Instead, he walked away alone. Meanwhile, military strategist Tang was gazing at the sunset. Quan, his bodyguard, said beside him, "It's getting late. Strategist, we should go back." The two turned around to go back. They hadn't walked a few steps when Quan noticed something unusual around them. He drew his sword with a whoosh. He looked ahead with a serious expression. The next second, dozens of black-clothed masked men suddenly appeared where there was nothing before. Seeing so many people appear suddenly, "Who are you?" The leader of the opposing side burst into laughter. "Since we're masked, how could we reveal our identities?" They judged by the full guard that the person protecting him from behind was Tang Jinxiu, the strategist of the Wulin Alliance. Quan Hui, known in the Jianghu as the judge of life and death, had a serious expression at this moment. He couldn't die here. Otherwise, Tang Jun would surely die. The man in the red mask didn't move. Instead, he let his subordinates attack first. Just as the guards were battling with them, suddenly, someone swung their long sword, striking directly at Tang Jinxiu from behind. At the critical moment, he turned and swung his sword, cutting off the man's arm. He saved Tang Jinxiu, but because of this, his arm was slashed by someone. But the godly him killed the one who injured him with a single strike. And at that moment, the man with the red mask and his animal subordinates had already exhausted most of the royal guard's stamina. He revealed his weapon, 9 Realms Transformation. Seeing the weapon he used, the royal guards immediately recognized that he was the Corpse Blood Pavilion Master. They couldn't help but wonder who hired them. Now, facing the powerful Corpse Blood Pavilion Master, they have no chance of survival. The only way is to buy time. Marshal King might have already sent people to search for the strategist. The 9-section whip strikes him like lightning. Just dealing with it is quite tricky. Due to the weapon's nature, he can't get close at all. I was just about to break through the blockade when I was slashed across the face and neck. Just as he was concentrating on dealing with the red-faced man, another man charged towards Tang Jun. The guards hurriedly retreated, splitting that man in two with a single sword. At that moment, several more lunged at him. While dealing with them, the red-faced man's 9-section whip suddenly appeared. It struck his parents. Then, he gave it a forceful twist. The 9-section whip returned to the man's hand. All the guards, clutching their injured bodies, urged Tang Jun to escape. They asked him to flee during the fight. Tang Jinxiu turned and ran. Seeing him run away, several strong men instantly leaped up and chased after him. All the guards hurriedly swung their swords to intercept them, but there were too many people on the opposite side. Still, one person pursued him. The guards shouted loudly, warning him to be careful. A sword was about to strike him, but at that moment, Tang Jinxiu suddenly tripped over his own feet. The sword slashed past him. Immediately after, Quan Hui leaped forward. He knocked several people to the ground. He now shielded Tang Jinxiu behind him. He looked at everyone with despair. Facing such powerful enemies, he had given up. The 9-section whip shot towards his face. He slowly closed his eyes, not preparing to dodge. Suddenly, he felt a massive surge of energy in front of him. When he opened his eyes, all the men in black were thrown to the ground. Dongfang Mao stood before him, weapon in hand. The leader of the Shishue Pavilion hadn't expected that an 18 or 19-year-old boy could unleash such immense power. With one blow, he had severely injured them all. At this time, all the guards were seriously injured. They were unable to move freely. And Tang Junshi, due to tripping over himself earlier, was walking with a limp. Dongfang Maui even teased him, saying his loose hair made him look more like a woman. However, upon learning that only Dongfang Maui dared to come, Tang Junshi was once again speechless. Dongfang Maui asked the two to leave first. He didn't look at the Shishue master the entire time. But the leader of the Corpse Blood Pavilion could clearly sense the threat from the young man before him. Although he wasn't looking this way, everything happening around him was under his control. Facing a strong opponent, he dropped his disguise and revealed his identity. Upon learning that Dongfang Maui was a temporary worker for the Martial Alliance, the leader of the blood-drinking pavilion, ENGSUB, was so shocked his jaw dropped. Such a powerful person was actually guarding the gate. He commanded them to go after Tang Junshi, who had run off. But as soon as they started, they were stopped by Dongfang Trading. They couldn't move forward an inch. After dealing with these minions, he charged directly at the blood-drinking pavilion master. In the unpredictable 9 streets, Dongfang Trading was also slashed across the neck. Immediately, the two engaged in a fierce fight. The blood-drinking pavilion master's 9-section whip was as fast as lightning, unpredictable, attacking Dongfang Trading from all angles. Dongfang Trading resisted with the knife in his hand, but was inadvertently struck by a small thug from the side. This instantly enraged him. After kicking that person away, his eyes began to turn red. His aura has also changed. This surprised the blood-drinking pavilion master beside him. How did his skills suddenly surge? Meanwhile, Tang Junshi happened to encounter the guards who were out searching for the Martial Alliance. He entrusted Quan Hui to their care. Then he took the guards and ran back. From a distance, he sensed a huge energy explosion. When they arrived at the scene, only Dongfang Mao was still standing. Dongfang Yuan heard from the housekeeper and the coachman that Dongfang Mao had single-handedly killed more than a dozen people. He couldn't help but wonder if it was the demonic energy that had driven him mad. Upon learning that although the demonic energy had erupted, his mind was still relatively clear, Dongfang Yuan let out a sigh of relief. However, the demonic energy within Dongfang Mao remained a hidden danger. The butler, Ma Fu, suggested imparting the wind and thunder energy to him, hoping it might suppress the demonic energy within Dongfang Mai. But Dongfang Yuan refused. He didn't want the wind and thunder technique to fall into the hands of a murderous demon. Because of this, Dongfang Mai was transferred to the procuratorate, becoming a formal employee of the Wulin Alliance. Yu Feng directly demanded 10 taels of gold as her management fee. She recalled the instructions from the Wulin Alliance leader beforehand. Finally, he gritted his teeth and agreed. Then she gave him an identity token. Returning to his quarters, he found Tang Junshi, who had transformed into a woman, waiting for him. It turned out that Tang Junshi, to repay his life-saving grace, decided to be completely honest. She revealed her true identity as a woman within the Wulin Alliance. After all, having a female soldier wasn't very convenient, so she has been disguising herself as a man all along. Her family was wiped out 6 years ago. She still hasn't found out who did it. Dongfang Mao said he could help. She thought of Chifa Gui. Perhaps he could help Tang Junshi uncover the truth. Night fell. On his very first day at the procuratorate, Dongfang Mao went out on a mission with them. They'd been watching this place for a long time. They split into 2 groups. One group went through the front door and dragged them out. The other went through the back to prevent them from escaping. But when they rushed in, they were instantly stunned. It was full of people. These spies were like they were having a banquet. The leader cursed his bad luck. But Dongfang Maoyu felt incredibly lucky. Before he could even react, the whole group vanished in a flash, leaving Dongfang Maoyu with a confused look on his face. But he didn't intend to leave. So many people. They were all his bounty. The inspection team, who had hastily fled, came to their senses. But they found that Dongfang Trading wasn't following them, so they had no choice but to return. Before they could get close, they heard fierce fighting coming from inside the building. From time to time, people were thrown out. After a short while, the fighting stopped. Dongfang Maui walked out, covered in blood. After seeing the scene inside the room, when Rushijing's jaw dropped, he single-handedly eliminated all 45 secret agents. He reported the situation to the Attorney General upon his return. The Attorney General was also greatly surprised. He turned to report to the Alliance leader, but was stopped by Wen Rushijing. because the Eastern trade allowed him to bring the bonus back. The minister was completely baffled when he heard it. It had been over 3 years since the Martial Emperor and the Demon Emperor were killed. Martial Emperor City had a new master, Yuan Xiaomya, the Martial Spirit King. However, the actual person in charge was his wife, the Martial Emperor's daughter, Xiang. And in Demon Emperor City, Lu Zhongshan, the Demon Emperor's eldest son, stood out. He was about to inherit the Demon Emperor's position. They have been searching for the culprit from that year. Due to the restoration of Wuhuang City and MOD City's power, the Martial Alliance leader, in order to maintain the current peace, decided to organize a 3-way conference to sign a peace treaty. But the selection of this envoy is hard to confirm. Everyone fell into deep thought, wondering who would be suitable. And it was at this moment that military advisor Tang Jinqiu broke the silence. He recommended candidate number 11, Haran, a divine physician who could bring people back from the dead. He heals the sick and saves lives regardless of their background. He enjoys a high reputation in the martial arts world. The alliance leader also believes he's suitable to be the envoy. However, the man has a very eccentric personality. After his son's death, he even gave up his medical practice. Qiqiangshan, who hasn't left Chongqing for 10 years, may not be willing to be the envoy. At this time, military strategist Tang said he could go and invite him. But everyone worried about military strategist Tang's safety. Going out at this time would surely be fraught with danger. Military strategist Tang's bodyguard, Quan Huwei, was seriously injured some time ago and hasn't fully recovered. But military strategist Tang said he had an alternative candidate, and that with only one bodyguard. He would surely return safely. After the meeting, Tang Junshi found Dongfang Maui. He told him the alliance leader's idea and recommended him as a bodyguard, because he felt that as long as he was with Dongfang Maui, he would definitely be able to return alive. The next day, Dongfang Maui and Shen Shui Xiang bid farewell to their grandfather, Dongfang Yuan. They prepared to head to Chongqing Qichongshan. At this time, he noticed that the coachman was Wen Ruxue, who was from the inspection department. Tang Junshi was dressed in women's clothing and sitting in the carriage, waiting for them. The carriage, driven by Wen Ruxue, was moving steadily. Inside the carriage, Dongfang Trading was enjoying a happy time with 1 man and 2 women. Just then, the carriage was suddenly stopped by someone. Wen Ruxue was very angry. She ultimately failed to avoid these secret agents. Shen Shui Xiang got off the carriage with this group of people. He saw that they were women. He immediately had evil thoughts. Wen Ruxue also threw away her. She jumped towards the carriage, weapon in hand. Another woman. These people had smiles plastered on their faces. Just as Wen Ruxue was inwardly cursing Dongfang Maui for not showing up yet, the carriage door was kicked open. Dongfang Maui strolled out. The person who got out was a small man to these people. A look of disdain instantly crossed his face. But the next second, a flash of blade light passed through the heads of those men, and their heads were separated from their bodies. With a single move, Dongfang Mao, or Dongfang Trade, depending on context, had killed them. He walked past Wen Ruxue coolly. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and drive the carriage. Then get ready to return to the carriage." But just then, he suddenly sensed 3 powerful auras ahead. Wen Ruxue also saw the 3 people. She knew them. They were Bogo Gui and Zhang Xinyu, the leaders of the MOD City secret agents. These people's strength was not inferior to the Minister of Justice. They noticed that the Wuhuang City secret agents lying on the ground were all killed with 1 blow. Dongfang Maui looked at the 3 with a disdainful expression. "Who are those 3? Wen Ruxue reminded him from the side. "They are all masters." But Dongfang Maui didn't care at all. He told Wen Ruxue to drive the carriage, and drew his long sword from his waist, walking towards the 3. The 3 also prepared for a fight, ready to teach this arrogant boy a lesson. Dongfang Trading makes the first move. His body shoots out like a cannonball. Luohan, one of the 3, throws a punch. A powerful energy cannon fires towards him. Dongfang Trading dodges it with a flash step. Gao Gui meets it with his sword. The 2 clash immediately. Gao Gui was on the defensive. At the critical moment, Zhang Xiyu appeared in time. Finally, the 3 of them attacked Dongfang Trade together. Shen Shui Xiang, who was standing nearby, saw this. He quickly joined the battle. He wanted to help Dongfang Trade share the pressure. But Dongfang Trade told him to get out of the way. However, Shen Shuixiang didn't listen to him. He still lured Zhang Xinyu to the side. Facing the two's attack, Dongfang Trading was gradually at a disadvantage. Looking at one of them chasing towards Shenshui village, his eyes turned red at this moment, and the energy of the Kunlun 5 immortals within him erupted. He knocked Gao Gui flying with one punch. But just then, Luo Han appeared behind him without him knowing when. He struck him heavily with a palm strike. A loud bang kicked up a cloud of dust. Luo Han laughed loudly. No one has ever survived my blood demon palm at full power. But as the smoke cleared, his face slowly turned to one of utter shock. Dongfang Trading was completely unharmed. Instead, the energy fluctuations on his body became even stronger. The two of them were also greatly surprised. At this time, Luo Han had already had second thoughts. He felt that the young man in front of him was too strange. But the next second, the knife in Dongfang Maoi's hand was under his control. It shot towards Gao Gui at lightning speed. First, it severed the sword in his hand. Then he plunged a knife into his chest. Luo Han, who was standing nearby, was even more shocked. He realized that this was a move using the abandoned blade. This was not something a child could do. Before he could recover from his shock, Dongfang Maoi had already charged towards him. Unable to dodge, he could only grit his teeth and throw a flurry of punches. But his fist, before such immense power, was pierced like an oiled paper lantern. His head was finally blown apart by a single punch. Meanwhile, on the other side, Shen Shuixiang unleashed his deadly flying knife technique, Little Li's flying knife, leaving Zhang Xiyu in a sorry state. At this moment, he also realized that the woman before him was the flying heaven sect heir they had been desperately searching for, Fia Xianli. At this moment, he had lost the will to fight. He now only wanted to convey the message back to the Demon Emperor city. But just then, he sensed a massive surge of energy approaching from behind. When he turned around, Dongfang Maoi swiftly swept past him, slicing him in half with a single strike. Then, he unleashed several more blows upon his body. Shen Shuixiang, who was watching from the side, was stunned. And just then, Dongfang Maoi suddenly turned his head towards Shen Shuixiang, and lunged forward, grabbing his collar, the knife in his hand raised high, about to fall. Suddenly, Dongfang Maoi paused, as if regaining a little consciousness, and slowly released his grip. Then, he crashed into a large tree nearby. He broke a 3-meter thick tree in half with a single blow. Then another one. He didn't stop until he had knocked down 38 large trees, finally calming down. Seeing the pained expression on Shen Shuixiang's face, he knew that only this way could Dongfang Maoi relieve the raging energy within him. He picked up the unconscious Dongfang Maoi. Tears uncontrollably streamed down his face. It dripped onto his face. Slowly, Dongfang Mao's eyes cleared. He glanced sideways. This is a good spot. His face flushed slightly. Then, he concernedly asked, "Are you injured?" Shen Shuixiang looked at him with a face full of emotion. Then, he continued, "Don't get hurt again in the future. Otherwise, I'll erupt 10 times. 100 times. After listening to Dongfang Maoi's words, Shen Shuixiang's face flushed. "I promised to protect the young master for life. How could I not get hurt?" Dongfang Maoi said solemnly, "From now on, I'll protect you. If anyone dares to harm you, even to the ends of the earth, I will tear him to pieces. If you don't want me to go crazy, then you must protect yourself well. Don't let yourself get hurt." Shen Shuixiang embraced him tightly, constantly calling him, "Fool, fool." Dongfang Mao's face turned even redder. The three women quickly became familiar with each other. They had been rushing on the road this whole time. They haven't had time to cultivate. So Dongfang Mao went to the riverbank alone to cultivate. When he finished his cultivation, while taking a bath in the river, he saw a young girl walking towards the riverbank. Immediately after, she was about to take off her restraints and get into the river for a bath. But he didn't notice the Oriental trade in the distance. He dove straight into the water. The Oriental trade, watching from the side, blushed. Just as he was lost in thought, the girl noticed him. She abruptly stood up from the water. The scenery made Oriental trade's mouth water. The girl loudly demanded, "What are you looking at?" Then, Turning around without covering herself, she ran towards the shore. She picked up her clothes. She picked up her weapon. She said angrily and ashamedly, "Who are you? When were you there?" Dongfang Maui said calmly, "Long before you. I've been here the whole time." The girl's face flushed even redder after hearing this. Now it's definitely all seen. At this time, Dongfang Trading looked like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. "I've seen it all. What do you want to do?" Hearing him say this, the girl became even angrier. She loosened her grip on the clothes and angrily rushed towards him. This made Dongfang Mao's eyes widen. He shouted, "Put on some clothes." By now, the girl was so angry that her eyes were filled with tears. Halfway there, she suddenly stopped, then burst into loud, heartbroken sobs. She completely disregarded her appearance. At that moment, he felt incredibly wronged. He had just lost a fight with bandits, and was now running to the river to bathe. It was all watched by others again. Dongfang Maui was also speechless. It's not like he wanted to be watched. Instead, he was scolded as a beggar. Dongfang Maui came up from the water in frustration. At this time, the girl saw the knife in his hand. She then believed that he also knew martial arts. She wanted him to teach her a few moves. But Dongfang Maui had just met him. He had only seen him a few times, and was about to teach a stranger martial arts. Initially, he disagreed, but then the girl started crying again. Finally, Dongfang Maui agreed to his request. "The girl's name is Su Wen. She lives nearby. I only fight bandits to train, to increase my strength. There's no deep-seated hatred." Dongfang Maui wanted to press further, but the girl fell silent. Under the moonlight, he taught the girl a few moves. The next day, Dongfang Maui slept in. It's mainly because they worked too hard last night. Now they have arrived at the foot of the 7 Peaks mountain. They are just waiting to go up the mountain to find the divine doctor. After resting, the 4 of them set off. When they arrived at the divine doctor's residence, Tang, the military strategist, revealed his identity. But the divine doctor asked them to go back. "I don't intend to invite them in. They could only wait outside." And just then, someone suddenly called out, "Brother traitor." Turning around, it was Su Wen, the girl they had met by the river yesterday. It turned out she was the divine doctor's granddaughter. After learning of their intentions, she went in and told her grandfather something. Then the divine doctor let them in. The strategist stayed behind to discuss important matters with the divine doctor. Dongfang Maui took Su Wen out to cultivate. At that moment, he noticed Su Wen's hand. His hand that held the sword was all calloused. But he was still persevering in his cultivation. Occasionally, one could sense sadness within him. This piqued Dongfang Maui's curiosity. Just to fight bandits? That shouldn't be it. So Dongfang Maui asked him. Su Wen fell silent for a moment. Then tears welled up. Meanwhile, military strategist Tang Jinxiu was also rejected by the divine doctor. He refused no matter what I said. It turned out that it was all because of 7 years ago. That was the Qingluo arc. Kun Homing's son was seriously ill. He came to Chichong Mountain to ask the divine doctor for treatment. At that time, due to the flood in Hebei, the divine doctor went out to treat the disaster victims. The disaster victims didn't know when he would return. Having no other choice, Kun Homing had to ask Su Wen's parents to seek treatment. After confirming the symptoms, they said only a miracle doctor could cure them. But Kun Homing couldn't wait for a miracle doctor whose return was uncertain. He urged the couple to do their best to save the patient. Under pressure, the couple gave their all to treat the patient. But in the end, it was death. In a fit of rage, Kun Homing beheaded the couple on the spot. Upon learning of his son's death, Shen Yihoran retreated to Fengmeigu for seclusion. He refused to treat even critically ill patients. Meanwhile, Dongfang Trading also learned the reason from Su Wen. They stormed towards the house in a rage. The physician was drawn out by the noise outside. Dongfang Maui saw him come out. He immediately launched into a barrage of questions. He thought the physician was too spineless. Someone had killed his son, but he silently endured it. Even his granddaughter had to endure this suffering with him. The physician listened to Dongfang Maui's words. Tears welled up in his eyes. He said weakly, "I can't do anything. I simply don't have the strength to fight them." Dongfang Trading continued loudly, "I understand. Without strength, one can only bury their hatred in their heart. But Su-won is so young. He's still trying. At this moment, the divine doctor's tears flowed even more. Su-won and his grandfather embraced each other and wept. Suddenly, Dongfang Maui yelled. Then he asked, "Where is Luo Fangzhou?" He told Su-won to take a knife. Dongfang Maui said he would help him eliminate everyone. Then he let Su-won personally take revenge on his enemies. But Shen Yi's son failed to cure the man's son's illness. His head was chopped off on the spot. Since the divine doctor had no martial arts skills, he swallowed his anger and secluded himself in Fengmao Valley for 7 years. Now, Dongfang Maui is going to help him take revenge. He kills anyone who stands in his way. But because the opponent's numbers are too great, and Kun Homing's strength is also formidable, Dongfang Maui has no choice but to once again use the Kunlun Wuqian power. After his strength surged, Kun Homing was no longer his opponent. He became the object of abuse. A palace collapsed under his destruction. Everyone outside held their breath for him, watching him walk out of the ruins unscathed. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Kun Homing was already on the verge of death. He lifted him like a chick. After avenging the divine doctor's son's death, the divine doctor and they returned to the martial alliance together. After returning, Dongfang Maui slept at home for 3 days. He didn't wake up until Su-won came to look for him. The divine doctor had already gone to the demon emperor city as an envoy. On the other hand, the martial emperor's grandson, Zhu Yubing, arrived in Luoyang. In the marketplace, just because a dog by the roadside barked at him a few times, he had his men kill the dog. This scene happened to be witnessed by Dongfang Trading. He roared, "What were you doing just now, old man?" Hearing someone call him old man, the man's face flushed with anger. His aura erupted instantly. He wanted to chop off his head and crush it under his foot. Suddenly, a giant soldier reached out to block. The enraged old man looked at Dongfang Mao with great interest. He sensed a terrifying aura. He thought he was the strongest in the world. He never expected to meet such a formidable opponent here. He wanted to know the opponent's name, because his sword never faced a nameless foe. Seeing that the other party was unwilling to reveal, he first told the other party his name. Dongfang Trading also only told him his name. Seeing the other party so unsuspecting, the man gestured to his subordinate to kill him directly. The elderly man, having received the order, excitedly raised his knife and lunged at Dongfang Trading. Just then, a woman suddenly appeared, and blocked the blow for Dongfang Trading. It was the deep water tank who had been secretly protecting him all along. Seeing the woman who suddenly appeared, Zhu Yubing's expression instantly changed. His cheeks slowly turned slightly red. He reached out to stop the elder who still wanted to continue attacking. "I am Zhu Yubing. May I ask for the lady's name?" Shen Shuixiang angrily said, "You're not worthy. Let's compensate them first." Before the words even finished, a bundle of money was thrown on the ground. Although compensation was given, but the people of Shen Shui village thought it was not enough to make up for the lives of the 2 dogs. One of them was pregnant. At this time, Zhu Yubing looked towards the elder beside him. The elder's expression changed. Immediately, with a swift movement, he chopped off his own left hand. This action shocked the other 2. Without hesitation, he chopped off his own left hand. Dongfang Maui yelled, "You madman!" Shen Shuixiang stepped in front of him. Shuixiang, Shen Shuixiang. After learning his name, Zhu Yubing gave a strange smile. "We'll meet again," he said, turning and walking away. Watching them leave, Dongfang Maui was furious. He grabbed his money bag and threw it at Zhu Yubing. But the old man caught it, and just then, a shoe followed closely behind. It hit him right in the face. He was furious but could only swallow his anger and leave. Dongfang Maui and Shen Shuixiang walked through the marketplace. They noticed many new faces. Shen Shuixiang explained that they were all members of the Wulin Alliance's rescue party. Due to the Wulin Alliance leader's initiative, tripartite talks, these people have all come to the Wulin Alliance. The 2 of them arrived at the entrance of the Wulin Alliance and saw everything. He has now fully recovered. This time, he came specifically to thank Oriental Trade for saving his life. Oriental Trade sat alone at the entrance, watching the passing wishes. "He'll be 19 soon. It's been 9 years since he obtained the power of the Kunlun martial immortal. In other words, he only has 1 year left to live. Maybe even less. Just as he was at a loss, a voice suddenly came from the air beside him. Young master, what are you thinking about? So absorbed. A voice appeared out of thin air. Dongfang Maui wasn't shocked. He simply said, perhaps we should go there. The golden mountain under the imperial palace. Shen Shui Xiang thought something was wrong with his body, anxiously asking, what's wrong? Is there something wrong with your skill? Dongfang Maui replied, no. But he hadn't said it out loud yet. Suddenly, someone came over, interrupting his muttering to himself. It was the captain of the guard. He saw him standing there doing nothing, so he came over to talk to him. And just then, a group of people came out from the door. They glanced at Dongfang Mao, who was standing nearby. Not long after, a carriage arrived. Everyone rushed forward to greet it. They saw an old man with a white beard and hair getting off the carriage. It was Hua Shan's plum blossom sword immortal. He had spotted Shen Shui Xiang hidden in the shadows near the gate. The captain of the guards was frightened and drew his weapon. He thought there was a spy hiding in the dark. Dongfang Mao stated that the person was his friend. The sword god wasn't very convinced. He asked the captain of the guards to go and verify the identity. Dongfang Trading showed Shen Shui village their identity tokens. After verifying their identity, the sword god strode into the Wulin alliance. In the evening, as Dongfang Trading was preparing to leave work and go home, he was summoned by the sword god to meet at a certain place. The sword god, after confirming that he was indeed Dongfang Trading, immediately struck out with a palm strike. Caught off guard, Dongfang received the palm strike in the pouring rain. He coughed up blood, and was sent flying 2.5 meters. At the same time, the sword god turned to the people behind him, and said, a bunch of useless fellows. These are the very people who were beaten by Dongfang Trading before. Though they suffered physical injuries, Dongfang Trading still stood up. This surprised the sword god greatly. After receiving his palm imbued with purple mist hard chi, they could actually still stand. They are truly remarkable people. The sword god said indifferently, your reputation is too great. I couldn't resist my curiosity. I tested it out. I hope you can understand. Dongfang Trading was quite disdainful. He spat out the blood in his mouth. You old geezer are just bragging, aren't you? Seeing Dongfang Trading being so impolite, his disciple couldn't help but stand up. How dare you speak to the sword god like that? Meanwhile, Shen Shuixiang also drew a weapon from his waist. The sword god only had 60% of his power. The man thought it was nothing, just a simple test. But Shen Shuixiang didn't buy that. What kind of test tries to kill someone? He told the sword god to use 60% of his power as well. He lured the few people behind him away. Just as the two were arguing fiercely, Dongfang Trading stopped Shen Shuixiang. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and tell me why you hit me. Hearing him say this, Jian Shen and the others were all shocked and opened their mouths wide. The man was completely enraged. His aura erupted. He was about to attack. Dongfang Maui warned, if you dare to move, you're dead. At that moment, the man's eyes widened in anger. Immediately, he raised his sword and charged towards Dongfang Maui. The moment they clashed, Dongfang Maui's blade had already sliced across his abdomen. The speed was incredible. The sword god standing nearby was completely shocked. The man painfully clutched his wound. Others rushed over to help him up. Just then, Dongfang Maui suddenly sensed a massive surge of energy. He turned his head. The sword god had already appeared beside him. He struck out with a palm strike. He received another solid blow from the sword god. But before he could react, the sword god reappeared above him. Another heavy palm strike landed on him. He had no power to fight back. Shen Shui, standing to the side, drew his sword and stabbed at the sword god. But the sword god deflected it with a single hand. He was injured by the water gun. Dongfang Maui's eyes started to turn red. The Tian Sha star energy within his body started to rampage. But due to the severe internal injuries he suffered, he couldn't concentrate his power. Instead, he coughed up another large mouthful of blood. Jianshan walked to his side. He picked him up like a chick. At this moment, he noticed the Tian Sha Xing within the Eastern trade. He dared to be so disrespectful to him. He had long wanted to kill the Eastern trade. Now that he had the Tian Sha Xing within him, he had 10 reasons to die. He slowly gathered his energy into his palm, preparing to end his life with a single palm strike. But the next second, the sword god's face drastically changed. It turned out that Dongfang Trading had stepped on his foot. In his panic, Dongfang Trading landed a heavy punch on his face. Everyone was frightened and quickly rushed forward to check on him. At this time, Dongfang Trading had also exhausted all his strength. He collapsed on the ground. The Huashan sect sword god was brutally beaten in front of the Martial Alliance's people. Only by killing Dongfang Trading can my anger be appeased. They drew their swords. Together, they charged towards Dongfang Trading. At this critical moment, the leader of the Martial Arts Alliance suddenly appeared, and saved him. In the leader's room, military strategist Tang Jinxiu was tending to Dongfang Trading's wounds. The alliance leader kept patching things up there. This problem is indeed difficult to solve, mainly because the Eastern trade has attacked those who cannot fight back. They have angered the Huashan sect. They will be treated as enemies by the martial world. But the Eastern trade is not afraid of them at all. If anyone dares to come and kill him, he will kill all those who come to support them. Lin Meng returned home from the East trade. His grandfather, Dongfang Yuan, was sitting in the courtyard, smoking a dry pipe. Lin Meng then sat down beside his grandfather. Is our Dongfang family very powerful? Seeing his grandfather didn't respond, Lin Meng spoke again. Can I see the Feng Mei Dao? Dongfang Yuan glanced at him. Why do you want to see it? Dongfang Maui said he was just curious. He muttered that it was fine if he couldn't see it. Dongfang Yuan pondered for a moment. He stood up. He reached out towards the void. Immediately, an invisible energy formed in his hand. Then it slowly condensed into the shape of a blade. Finally, its true form was revealed. It's the Wind and Thunder blade, which can only be used by those who master the power of wind and thunder. Dongfang Mai wanted his grandfather to just give it a try. Dongfang Yuan was worried that its powerful force might demolish the entire house. The moment he moved his hand, the Wind and Thunder blade vanished into thin air. Dongfang Mai was astonished by the sight. Did the Wind and Thunder blade fly back into the room? Dongfang Yuan told him that it didn't. Instead, it was hidden in the space of wind. Now the whole street is filled with wind, so he can be summoned at any time. Let Grandpa Dongfang demonstrate. Dongfang Yuan pointed to a tree in the distance, gesturing for him to look there. Then he made a sweeping gesture with his hand. The top of the tree was severed. Without even seeing a weapon, the big tree was cut down. Dongfang Maui didn't expect that his grandfather possessed such terrifying martial arts skills. Seeing how powerful the Wind and Thunder blade was, Dongfang Maui wanted his grandfather to teach him, but his grandfather resolutely refused. He told him to forget what he had seen today and go to rest. The next day, Dongfang Maui was lying on the water tank, drooling. Suddenly, all the guards found him. He's always wanted to fight Dongfang Trade. Dongfang Trade was speechless. He pointed at him and said to Deep Water Tank, "Look how he treats his savior." Xian Guard's face flushed red instantly. Then he quickly returned to normal. His gaze became firm. His aura surged. Dongfang Maui also drew his long sword, preparing for battle. Both sides were fighting with all their might. Every strike aimed for the opponent's vital points. Shen Shui Xiang, watching from the sidelines, was wide-eyed in astonishment. At this moment, Dongfang Maui felt he was losing. His opponent's sword was too fast. From Quan Hui's martial arts moves, Shen Shui Xiang recognized the weapon he used. It was the Viper Fang martial art. It's the top-tier assassin technique, Gift of Soul. He didn't expect that the person wielding this blade had been hidden within the martial world all along. Just as he was shocked, suddenly, the Martial World Alliance leader and his strategist appeared beside him without him noticing. Strategist Tang Jinxiu hoped he could stop the competition, but the Martial World Alliance leader showed no intention to intervene. At this moment, the duel had reached a fever pitch. Both sides had left their marks on each other, but the Martial Alliance leader grew more and more excited. He even occasionally cheered him on. Shen Shuiqiang, standing to the side, rolled his eyes helplessly. As the fight continued, Dongfang Trading gradually fell behind. Off guard, he was slashed in the abdomen. At this point, the The martial alliance leader felt it was about time, so I spoke up to stop their sneering. Shen Shui Xiangwang ran over to check on Dongfang Trading's listing. Dongfang Trading kept praising Quan Hui's amazing swordsmanship. Quan Hui considered him despicable. He didn't use his full strength when he sneered, because Dongfang Trading had once killed the top assassin, the bloodthirsty pavilion master. Based on the strength he just showed, it was simply not enough to kill the bloodthirsty pavilion master. Dongfang Trading is truly wronged. He actually has already exerted all his strength. However, it was without utilizing the power of the Kunlun 5 immortals. If he goes berserk, all the guards will surely die. The martial alliance leader appeared at the right moment to smooth things over from the side. Actually, we aren't without a connection. What's the point of fighting to the death like this? Dongfang Maui and Quan Hui both looked at their alliance leader with puzzled expressions. He explained to Quan Hui, "Look at his face. Besides the scars, doesn't he resemble someone? His name is Dongfang Mao." Quan Hui trembled at this. He seemed to see the shadow of his father, Dongfang Gaozhen, in him. After receiving confirmation from the alliance leader, he was a changed man. His whole body started to tremble. He fell to his knees with a thud. He even picked up a knife and was about to hurt himself. The 16-year-old assassin, in order to assassinate the war god Dongfang Gaozhen, had actually hidden under the toilet for a full 100 days. When he was thirsty or hungry, he simply dealt with it on the spot. He did all this just to wait for the right moment for a fatal blow. At this moment, he saw his target squat down and start tending to the flowers. He considered it a perfect opportunity to strike. He suddenly leaped out from his hiding place. He lunged towards Dongfang Gaozhen's back. Just as he was about to stab him, Dongfang Gaozhen suddenly turned around. He grabbed the incoming sword with one hand, and struck out with the other hand. With a loud bang, the man was pushed back 2.5 meters. He crashed into a tree. Then, several guards descended from the sky. One of them ran a sword through his shoulder. He was pinned to the large tree behind him. But Dongfang Gaozhen didn't kill him. Instead, he pulled the sword out for him, and told him to leave quickly. The guard beside him was about to say something, but he was scared back by a single glance. But just as he turned to leave, the man suddenly lunged forward, and attacked him again. The sword in his hand tore through his clothes. Seeing this, the guards rushed forward, and subdued him once more. This time, although Dongfang Gaozhen was very angry, he still didn't kill him. What angered him was that a killer, knowing that this sword strike didn't have a 100% chance of success, still struck out. This assassin was Quan Hui. After the competition with Dongfang Mao, he learned Dongfang Mao's true identity, the war god, Dongfang Gao. He was truly his father. At that moment, he deeply regretted having been so disrespectful to his benefactor's son. Overcome with remorse, he picked up his weapon and attempted suicide, but was stopped by the leader of the martial arts alliance. Unable to commit suicide, he actually gouged out his own left eye with his bare hands. Shen Shui Xiang watched in utter shock. This is how much he was indebted to Dongfang Gaozhen. He would self-mutilate without hesitation to atone. It turns out that Dongfang Trading's father not only spared his life back then, but also took him in to recover in an underground chamber. And he even returned his weapons to him. After receiving their weapons, the guards still wanted to attack. Dongfang Gaozhen advised him not to bother, because he wasn't a qualified assassin. Assassins are supposed to be emotionless. During his first assassination attempt, there was a slight tremor in the sword he held. That little tremor was what led to his failure. Dongfang Gaozhen asked him to recuperate here first. Once he recovers and is able to leave Wuwang City, he can leave anytime he wants. Since then, Xian, the bodyguard, has been cultivating in the secret room, recuperating. Then one day, Dongfang Gaozhen came to see him, bringing him a blade, with a pointed tongue and venomous fangs. It was the weapon of the world's #1 assassin. He also came to assassinate Dongfang Gaozhen before, but he's long dead now. He gave this knife to Zuanhui. He also gave him a secret manual, Sihua Wu. It's the martial art practiced by the #1 assassin in the world. Quan Hui was quite surprised. Why would Dongfang Gaozhen be so kind to him? He not only gave him the knife and the manual, he also guided him in his cultivation. But at that time, Dongfang Guzhen truly had no other intentions. It was just that some people didn't want him to kill anymore. At that time, Dongfang Guzhen and the Wu Emperor's daughter, Chu Jiaohe, were courting. After an injury, he was tied up with a woman. This made Chu Jiaohe furious. He was determined to find that woman. Then he will be cut into pieces. All the guards are in the secret chamber. He recuperated for a year. During this time, Dongfang Gaozhen had been guiding him in his cultivation. Si Hanwu has almost finished practicing. Now he is preparing to leave Wuhuang City. Before leaving, Dongfang Gaozhen asked him to go to Yongxing Mountain to see a woman. He was also given a necklace, and asked to deliver it to the woman. Finally, before leaving, he was given a letter. If he no longer wished to be an assassin, he could go to the Wulin Alliance and look for a man named Che Zhanghe. Xian, the guard, bid farewell to Dongfang Gaozhen, and came to Yongxing Mountain. He waited until the appointed time. He saw a woman. Then he noticed the woman's belly. She was pregnant. Quan Hui revealed his identity. He said that Dongfang Gaozhen had sent him, and told the woman that Dongfang Gaozhen would soon leave the imperial city to find him. The woman covered her face and cried after hearing that. Quan Hui gave him the necklace. The woman cried even harder after receiving the necklace. Quan Hui then noticed how disheveled she was. He guessed she had been evading pursuers. And just then, a voice came from behind, "Such a pity." Quan Hui turned around sharply. A person was crouching on the roof. Quan Hui asked, "Who are you?" The man laughed, "You don't need to know my name. Just know that I'm a follower of Gu Jiao." Following that, the man gracefully descended from the rooftop. This move truly startled Quan Hui. With such skill, this person must be a master. Faced with an opponent far superior in martial arts, Quan Hui had no intention of fleeing. He was preparing for a desperate fight, buying time for the woman to escape. The woman knew the man who was chasing her. He was Kagan, a top 10 expert in Wuhuang City. Although all the guards were terrified at this moment, their hands holding the swords remained steady. This made Kagan wary of him. Quan Hui gritted his teeth, swung his sword, and charged at Kagan. Over the past year or so, he has been training under the guidance of Dongfang Gaozhen. He hasn't sparred with anyone. Now, he feels that his sword swings are much more effortless. He no longer has that sense of purpose. Instead, it has unleashed his true potential. All of this is thanks to Dongfang Gaozhen's guidance. The Khan also praised his skills. However, due to the huge gap in strength, Xian, the guard, was soon injured. The Khan had been playing around until now. Now he's getting serious. His attacks became increasingly fierce. At this time, Xian, the guard, found it extremely difficult to defend. He was no match. The Khan's sword pierced through his body. His grip on the knife loosened. The knife fell to the ground. He turned and looked at you, tears streaming down your face. Qihan let out a strange laugh. "Don't be sad. You'll see each other again soon enough." But just then, Xian, the guard, seized his sword. The next second, another sword appeared in his other hand, seemingly from nowhere. It pierced the Khan's chest like lightning. His eyes widened. His face was full of disbelief. But it was too late. He forgot that the man before him was an assassin who would kill under any circumstances. With a look of resentment, he breathed his last. The guards had also exhausted their last ounce of strength. He collapsed to the ground. When he opened his eyes again, he was lying on a bed. He sat up abruptly. He saw a woman sitting beside him. It turned out she had reconnected his severed intestines. Then she stitched up his wounds. 3 days had passed. After that, the woman gradually took him to her place. Now he only needs to recuperate for 2 or 3 months to recover. But he can't continue to take care of Chuanhu here. He has to leave. Chuanhu offered to protect him until he meets the god of war, Dongfang Gao. The woman refused him, because Zhu Jiao is a terrifying woman. Staying with him will only lead to a quicker death. Now he's going to the 5 Emperor City. At that time, because Quan Hui was bedridden, he could only watch the woman leave alone with a big belly. Dongfang Mao, having learned the whole truth, was now trembling with rage. He wanted to go to the 5 Emperor City immediately. In a low voice, he asked where the 5 Emperor City was. Quan Hui immediately got up. He said he could take him there. Shen Shui Xiang, who was standing nearby, quickly grabbed Dongfang Mao. then just watched him. Dongfang Mao also asked Shen Shuixiang to stay. Shen Shuixiang looked at him firmly and shook his head. Finally, the three of them walked out together. Seeing this, the leader of the Wulin Alliance, Che Zhonghe, was completely dumbfounded. He quickly hid behind the door. We can't just let them go to the Martial Emperor city. It's practically the same as sending them to their deaths. But Dongfang Maui insists on going. He, as the alliance leader, ordered him not to go. Dongfang Maui reached into his bosom, preparing to return his identity token to him, resigning from his position. The alliance leader was furious upon hearing this. Originally, when the martial alliance was in danger, the Dongfang family would always stand behind it. The reason why Dongfang Trading was made the inspector was to motivate his grandfather, Dongfang Yu, to let Dongfang Trading inherit the Dongfang family. Although that's the case, Dongfang Trading can't afford to worry about that now. He's now wholeheartedly focused on going to the Five Emperor City to find his mother, whom he's never met. He's so stubborn. He even wanted to take action. The leader of the Wulin Alliance unleashed his aura. He wanted to teach him a lesson first, to make him calm down. Others were startled when they saw the leader show his power. But the next second, Dongfang Trading made a sudden move, directly crashing through the wall and rushing out, leaving everyone completely dumbfounded. The leader also looked helpless. All the guards bowed slightly to the leader. They bowed slightly. From now on, I have to follow young Master Dongfang. Dongfang Trade turned around and said loudly, "Please take care of my grandfather for me." The leader was furious. In this world, who could possibly touch your grandfather? You should just mind your own business. After Dongfang Trading left, the alliance leader found his grandfather, Dongfang Yuan, and told him what had just happened. Dongfang Yuan hadn't expected that Dongfang Trading's mother was actually a shadow figure in the prince's mansion. The alliance leader also heard shocking news from Dongfang Yuan. The fifth prince and the demon emperor were actually killed by the steward that Dongfang Trading had murdered. Ma Fu learned that the young master went to the Five Emperor City alone. He worried about the young master's safety. He mumbled, asking Dongfang Yuan to save the young master. Both the young master and his future wife were bullied. "You're still there, puffing away at your pipe." Dongfang Yuan glanced at him. He angrily said, "What are you yelling about with your eyes wide open? That's my grandson, right?" Ma Fu's face flushed with anger. Dongfang Yuan calmed himself down. "Don't mind him. Let him learn how dangerous the Jianghu is." Ma Fu shouted, "If he dies, you will regret it." Saying this, the two men started fighting. The martial alliance leader watched with wide eyes. Soon, the coachman gave up, but he was still furious and went to find Dongfang Mao. As he reached the door, Dongfang Yuan stopped him. Although Dongfang Mao is already the successor of Fenglei sect, he won't live long. Hearing this, the alliance leader in the carriage was startled. He asked in disbelief, "He doesn't have much time left. What's going on?" Dongfang Yuan explained that his inner strength is 5 times my lifetime's worth. "Can that kid handle it?" The coachman beside him suddenly spoke up, saying that the power of wind and thunder could be used to treat him. Dongfang Yuan agreed with the coachman. But Dongfang Yuan possesses the heavenly slaughter star within him. If he possesses the power of wind and thunder, and the heavenly slaughter star erupts again, then no one in the world could stop him. So he kept hesitating. The coachman collapsed on the ground, tears streaming down his face. He kept saying how pitiful the Eastern trade was. He was born without parents, and then used as bait for beasts. His father died as soon as they met. Dongfang Yuan was speechless at this moment. He was annoyed by the butler and the groom. He said, "Don't worry, I won't spare his life. He is an orphan. When he was hungry, he would pick up trash by the roadside. The children in the village all bullied him. Even the pile of grass he used to rest was set on fire by someone. He was found by hunters on Kunlun Mountain when he was 6 years old. Since then, he became bait for the beasts. When he was 10, he had barely seen his father for a day, before his father died. Now he knows about his mother, but he only has 1 year left to live." After Dongfang Trading learned about his mother, led by Quan Hui, he arrived at the place where his mother used to live. He sat on the bench his mother used to sit on. He felt his mother's presence. He couldn't help but worry about whether his mother was still alive. It takes 2 days to travel from here to the 5 Emperor City. He asked Quan Hui to go to find information about his mother in the 5 Emperor City. Shen Shui Xiang didn't want Dongfang Maui to venture to the 5 Emperor City, but the East Trade told him that he only had less than a year to live. Shen Shui Xiang and Quan Hui were both shocked to hear this. East Trade just hoped that he could see his mother within less than a year. Shen Shui Xiang said angrily, "Why didn't you tell me earlier? Is there any way to extend his life?" East Trade then told him that as long as he absorbed his inner energy, he could. Shen Shui Xiang was already in tears at this point. Dongfang Maui comforted her, "Don't cry. I feel very lucky now. Otherwise, I should have died 10 years ago. Now, not only have I seen Dad, but I've also seen Grandpa. And of course, you." Having said that, she prepared to go to Wuhuang City, but Shen Shui Xiang embraced me from behind. He advised me that Wuhuang City was full of experts, and I might be killed before even reaching the Zhujiao River. I might already be dead. He hoped that I would first find a way to survive, and then search for my mother and the Fei Tian Dao Men's hidden treasury later. There must be a way. Dongfang Maui shook his head. Shen Shuixiang looked at him with pleading eyes. Quan Hui, standing beside them, quickly said, "Just listen to Shuixiang. I'll go to the 5 Emperors City first. I'm sure I can find information about Shermu." At this time, Shen Shuixiang Wang said, "Quan Hui has experience infiltrating the Wuhuang City. He'll definitely be able to do it. During this time, let's work together to find a way to survive." Dongfang Maui glanced at the woman who had always been by his side, giving her all. There's only 1 year left. If he doesn't dedicate some time to Shen Shui Xiang, he'll regret it. So he gave the necklace to Quan Hui, and went with Shen Shui Xiang to the Fei Tian Dao Men's secret vault. They arrived at the Imperial Palace. The former secret vault had become a royal palace. Shen Shui Xiang looked around. They finally determined the location of the vault. He and Oriental Trade cautiously entered the palace. Based on his judgment, they only needed to open this floorboard. The vault entrance would then appear. He used an arrow to pry open the floorboard. Oriental Trade slowly lifted the floorboard. Shen Shuixiang, standing nearby, gestured for him to be quieter. After opening it, Shen Shuixiang jumped down first. Just as Dongfang Maui was about to go down, the door beside him opened. A woman, still sleepy, appeared before him. The woman saw a man at the doorway, and instantly woke up. At that moment, Dongfang Maui was also scared out of his wits. In a critical moment, I had no choice but to knock the woman unconscious. I took her into the secret cave. Shen Shuixiang's ex-wife. He hit her too hard. He said that sealing her acupoints would have been enough. There was no need to knock her unconscious. Dongfang Maui said that he didn't know how to use acupoints. After entering the vault, he laid the woman on the ground. Shen Shuixiang judged from her attire that she was royalty. If he killed her, he wouldn't be able to leave the palace safely. If he let her go, the secret of the treasury would be exposed. There was no way. He could only try to wake her up first. The woman woke up. Seeing 2 strangers, they asked, "Who are you?" Dongfang Trading was quite impolite. "I'd like to ask who you are." Meeting in the deep water. Neither of them wanted to answer first. With no choice, they could only interrupt. "We are very sorry. Please understand that we cannot reveal our identities. Can you tell me who you are first?" "I am Princess Shaoling of the Great Ming Imperial Family." "And who are you?" "Kneel down before me at once." "Are you here to kidnap me?" King Shen Shui explained, "Although we are invaders, we absolutely have no ill intentions. We only need to pass through the princess's Jingning Palace to reach this secret vault. Before the construction of the Great Ming Palace, this place was mine." The princess got even angrier after hearing that. The entire empire belongs to the emperor. Dongfang Maokai, who was standing nearby, impatiently said, "Is the princess that extraordinary?" He was about to punch him. Shen Shuixiang quickly appeared between them. He stopped the impulsive Eastern trade. Then he placed his hand over the princess's injured eye. Through the nourishment of the steam, the princess instantly felt no pain. "You are martial artists?" Shen Shui Village replied, "Yes." The princess then asked where they were. Shen Shui Village explained to her that this was the Golden Mountain Vault. The princess only knows Shaolin and Wudang in the martial arts world. She thinks the most powerful in the martial arts world are the Martial Emperor and the Demon Emperor. Shen Shui Xiang told him that the 5 emperors and the Demon Emperor were things of the past. They are dead. The princess asked in shock. Then what's your strength? Dongfang Maui suddenly interrupted. I killed them. Shen Shui Xiang quickly covered his mouth in fright. The princess silently watched them. Then, without a word, she turned and left. Dongfang Mao loudly called out to her, "Where do you think you're going?" The princess stopped. Turning back, she said, "Anyway, as long as you kill me, none of you will leave the palace." With that, she left without looking back. Dongfang Mao was so angry he wanted to beat her, but he was held tightly by Shen Shui Xiang. But not long after, the princess actually brought the emperor of the Great Ming Dynasty here. Not only did the emperor of the Great Ming Dynasty not punish the man, he also befriended him. It turned out that just now, Dongfang Maui had infiltrated the imperial palace and the Jinshan secret treasury of the Fei Tian Dao sect, and was spotted by Princess Xiaoling. Having no other choice, Dongfang Trading had no choice but to knock him out first. After entering the secret vault, they couldn't really kill Princess Xiaoling. In the end, they could only let him leave. Dongfang Mao had been searching in the secret vault for a long time. Although the secret vault contained many powerful martial arts techniques, none of them could neutralize the Kunlun 5 Immortal's essence within him. I was about to check other rooms, when I saw Princess Xiaoling returning, followed by a man, wearing a dragon robe. Shen Shui Xiang, upon seeing this, hurriedly pulled Dongfang Mao down to kneel and prostrate themselves. The newcomer was none other than the Emperor Zhu Yongtang of the Great Ming Dynasty. He first threatened them, saying they had secretly hidden a large amount of wealth, attempting rebellion. This scared Shen Shui Xiang. He hurriedly explained that although these were treasures, if they appeared in the Jianghu, it would inevitably cause bloodshed and chaos. So he hid these treasures here, to avoid causing unrest in the Jianghu. Dongfang Maui, standing to the side, saw that the emperor had another plan. Just tell me what you want. The emperor glanced at him. As long as you agree to my terms, I can pretend I never saw what happened today, and then, let the Eastern trade prove its military strength. It turned out that since the Ming emperor ascended the throne, he had been diligently governing the state. However, factions proliferated within the court, especially those led by General Jinxing. Li Chengchang is leading the effort. Tomorrow, the emperor will hold a banquet for the court officials in the side hall. A 5-person martial arts competition will be held during the banquet. Currently, the emperor has no skilled fighters available. Dongfang Maui drew his sword and slashed at empty space. The next second, a deep gash appeared on the opposite stone wall. The emperor and the princess were both shocked. Shen Shui Xiang was even more surprised that Dongfang Maui could now unleash blade energy. The banquet began the next day. At the banquet, General Jinxing, Li Chengchang, was aggressive and extremely arrogant. He openly asked the emperor for a reward. Meanwhile, to conceal their identities, the people from Eastern Trade and Deepwater Village stood guard nearby, dressed in black. This made the people from Eastern Trade very uncomfortable. He kept scratching. At the banquet, Li Chengchang dismissed all the civil and military officials. With the sound of drums, the competition of 5 officially began. General Jinxing Li Chengchang sent 3 people. The emperor also sent 3 people to compete. At the emperor's command, Dongfang Trading and Shen Shui Xiang instantly appeared on the competition stage. The emperor said that the 2 of them were coded messages. I only let them out for training, and I also asked General Li Chengchang to go easy on them. Meanwhile, Dongfang Trading was still just scratching the surface. Shen Shui Xiang, standing to the side, reminded them to watch their image. General Li Chengchang had no idea that the emperor even had secret codes, so he suggested that he wanted to see their faces. Dongfang Trading took off the blindfold. Seeing this, Shen Shui Xiang followed suit. He saw that one of them was such a beautiful woman. Li Chengchang and his son had the same expression. Meanwhile, Dongfang Trading had noticed the 3 people across from them. Only the man in the back was not easy to deal with. He stepped forward to initiate the first fight. The man across from him was no match for Dongfang Trading. In a few moves, He was beaten until his nose was running and tears were streaming down his face. He beat the other man, powerless to fight back. At this moment, the emperor seized the opportunity to say, "Remember. Go easy. After all, it's just a friendly match." Hearing the emperor's words, Li Qingchang and the other ministers were all startled. They hadn't expected the emperor to be hiding such a thing. Li Qingchang hastily said with a chuckle, "It's all right. Let's watch the second match." The second match is between the Deep Water Village. Their opponent is him. Li Qingchang's son stopped the warrior about to enter the arena, preparing to fight himself. He asked Deep Water Village which secret agent number he was. Deep Water Village told him that he was the last ranked warrior. Li Qingchang was startled again. "I didn't expect that the emperor would have so many secrets." Shen Shuixiang continued, saying that the other secret guards were all out on missions. Besides the 1st to 10th secret guards who are constantly protecting the emperor. Only I have the time. He finished and waved his hand towards the emperor's back. He greeted the secret guard captain. Li Qingchang and his son both turned their heads to look back. But they didn't see anyone. Just then, Shen Shuixiang said, the secret guard captain said, "Let me perform well. Don't mess around. The contest begins." Shen Shuixiang's sword was incredibly fast. Li Qingchang's son was simply unable to defend himself. In a short while, his own clothes were torn to shreds. The princess beside them covered her eyes, too embarrassed to watch. Just as the man was about to be completely naked, the expert behind him moved. He leaped suddenly, swinging his sword back towards the deep water tank. Immediately after, a loud bang echoed. When the smoke cleared, Dongfang Trading was already standing in front of the deep water tank, blocking that powerful strike for him. Facing a super expert, Dongfang Maui couldn't defeat him at all without using the power of Kunlun martial immortals. After he blocked the opponent's attack, he was clearly at a disadvantage. Immediately afterwards, the opponent launched another powerful attack. Everyone thought Dongfang Maui was doomed. But unexpectedly, he was still standing there. It was just that the aura around him had changed. Eastern Trade once again utilized the power of the Kunlun 5 immortals. The powerful oppressive aura made the man jolt. The man swung his blade again. Eastern Trade leaped into the air. He unleashed the boundless blade wave. In an instant, several blade energies slashed towards the man. The powerful shockwave caused everyone nearby to cover their faces and defend themselves. When the smoke cleared, the man's right hand was severed at the wrist. Dongfang Mao painfully clutched his chest. He collapsed to the ground. The old woman who served food to beggars at the Shaolin Temple gate was actually a hidden, enlightened monk. With a single move, she subdued Dongfang Mao, who had used the Kunlun immortal martial arts. It turned out that after the martial arts competition in the palace, Dongfang Mao had only just regained consciousness. He again used the Kunlun immortal martial arts. It caused him great harm. Emperor Deming, to thank them for their help, allowed them to search for a solution in the Imperial Palace Library. But they ultimately found nothing. There was no way. The two of them had no choice but to leave the palace. Shen Shuixiang knew that, if they gave up like this, eventually, he would definitely go to the Martial Emperor City. At this moment, he remembered the most powerful internal energy in the world, Yi Jingjing. So he proposed going to Shaolin Temple to find Yi Jingjing. Dongfang Maui agreed to his proposal. Actually, Shen Shuixiang had ulterior motives. Regardless of whether going to Shaolin Temple to find Yi Jingjing would be effective or not, it could at least temporarily stop him from going to the Emperor City. The two of them arrived at Shaolin Temple. "I wished to request an audience with the abbot, but I was asked if I had made an appointment." Dongfang Maui, who was standing nearby, loudly said, "Tell him we're here to see Yi Jingjing." Hearing Yi Jingjing, the young monk dared not delay. He asked us to wait a moment. He went back to inform the abbot. At that moment, Dongfang Maui noticed an old woman by the roadside serving food to beggars. She carefully served rice to each child. This reminded him of his own time as a beggar. He turned his head, unwilling to continue the conversation. But the old woman shouted loudly at him, "You almost dead fellow. Are you here to eat?" Dongfang Maui glanced at her, then turned to leave. The next second, the old woman appeared directly behind him. She lifted him up like a chick. It was too fast. The two of them didn't even notice. Just like that, they were forcibly brought here. They were forced to eat a bowl of vegetable and rice. But it did taste good. After eating, they met the abbot of Shaolin Temple. Dongfang Maui said upon meeting him, "Save me. Please let me see the I Ching scriptures." The abbot certainly wouldn't agree. The I Ching scriptures contain the essence of Bodhidharma's martial arts. Even ordinary Shaolin disciples are not allowed to see them. Dongfang Maui repeatedly requested to see the I Ching scriptures. The abbot told him to extend his hand first. I just placed my hand on him. I immediately sensed a tremendous power within him. My expression changed in surprise. I asked, "Who is your master?" Dongfang Maui replied, "Kunlun Wuxian." The abbot deeply agreed. Only immortals possess such power. But even so, the Shaolin abbot still refused to show him the jade crystal. The Eastern trade world had no chance. He then signaled to Shen Shui Xiang to leave. But the abbot wouldn't let them go. Not only that, he also summoned the 108 arhats of Shaolin Temple. This was because he sensed a vast internal force from Dongfang Maui's body arrangement. He also sensed the power of the malefic star. He wants to keep Dongfang trading at Shaolin Temple until he dies. Dongfang trading would definitely not be willing. If these people don't want to save him, so be it. Now they even want to confine him. At this moment, his hand was already on the hilt of his sword. His eyes also turned blood red. Shen Shui Xiang, seeing this, knew that he was about to use the power of the Kunlun Five Immortals again. They hurriedly stepped forward and begged the abbot to let them leave. Don't continue to provoke Dongfang trade. Otherwise, if his power erupts, it will be terrifying. But the Shaolin monks thought he was threatening them. The abbot ordered the Lohan to attack. The next second, several throwing knives flew past them. Then they returned to Shen Shui Xiang's hands. The abbot immediately recognized this as the unique skill of the little flying knife. At this moment, they heard Shen Shui Xiang say, "If you want to keep the young master, then you'll have to kill me first." At this time, the abbot knew that the other party had revealed his identity. This was a fight to the death. So, the abbot sent someone to invite the four great Vajras. At this moment, Dongfang Maui could no longer tolerate these hypocritical monks. He was the first to attack. These Luohans were no match for him. As the fight continued, more and more Luohans were defeated by him. The abbot shouted, ordering the Luohans to form the Forbidden Lock formation to defend. Even so, it was still split apart by Dongfang Maui with a single blow. Watching the Luohans fall one by one before him, the abbot commanded the 72 divine monks to join the battle. The battle before him became increasingly fierce. It made him question whether stopping him was the right thing to do. Just then, the Shaolin Temple abbot's uncle arrived with the four great Vajras. Together, they prepared to subdue the enraged Dongfang Mao. Suddenly, an angry roar echoed, "Stop, you bunch of idiots!" The old woman who served food at the entrance of the Shaolin Temple was seen levitating in midair. Seeing his appearance, the abbot couldn't help but exclaim, "It's grand uncle from the mortal realm." He stopped the Shaolin monks who still wanted to attack. Turning, he glanced at the enraged Dongfang trading. By now, Dongfang trading was attacking indiscriminately. He roared and charged towards him. But his returning blade was caught between the grand uncle's hands. Then, with one palm strike, he repelled Dongfang trading several steps back. Dongfang trading tried to continue attacking, but was stopped by Shen Shui Xiang, whose eyes were filled with tears. Looking at Shen Shui Xiang before him, Dongfang trading slowly calmed down. Then, he fainted. Fangjia lifted up Dongfang trading and wanted to leave the elders. He shouted, "He's a devil, the sky-killing star, the demon who reduced us to this state." The Grand Master of the mortal realm turned to them. "You bunch of graybeards. Did he attack first? If you hadn't attacked him first, would he have shown his sky-killing star nature? Have you ever thought about saving him? What's so great about a little booklet? What a bunch of useless fellows." The cooks in the Shaolin Temple kitchen are the only ones who possess the secret of I Ching. With a single move, she subdued Dongfang Mao in sage mode. Then, she used her inner strength to suppress the Kunlun Five Immortals' power within her. Dongfang Mao's internal energy gradually calmed down. Her internal injuries were completely healed. Everyone in the mortal realm couldn't help but marvel at her amazing recovery ability. However, Fan Jia was also unable to resolve the five elements' power within him. Perhaps if Dongfang Mao mastered the I Ching scriptures, he could better control the 5 elements' power within himself, and extend his life. He ignored the Shaolin abbot and the high monk's objections, and insisted on teaching the I Ching scriptures to Dongfang Mao. No one knew how much time had passed. Dongfang Maui was enveloped in golden light. This indicates that the shipwright has reached the final stage. Sure enough, not long after, Fan Jie let out a heavy breath, retracting his skill. Dongfang Maui still needed some time to wake up. Now, he had another surge of energy within him. This couldn't help but make Fan Jie worry about whether his body could withstand it. A long time passed. The moon was already high in the night sky, but Dongfang Mao still hadn't woken up. This made Shen Shuixiang, who was guarding nearby, start to worry. At this time, Fan Jie also looked at Dongfang Mao lying on the ground with a serious expression. He should have woken up by now. Dongfang Mao, who had suddenly fallen unconscious, began to convulse. Fan Jie immediately sensed that something was terribly wrong. Hurriedly stepping forward, a massive internal force was inputted into his body. At this moment, the Kunlun 5 Immortals power within Dongfang Trading's body went berserk again. His mortal realm power could no longer suppress him. Dongfang Trading's body slowly floated up. The mortal realm followed and floated into the air. The situation became increasingly dangerous. The mortal realm unleashed the Buddhist supernatural power, Prajna Brain. Several huge golden hands then appeared in the air. One hand struck Dongfang Trading. The two energies collided. A loud booming sound erupted. Dongfang Trading remained unmoved. However, the mortal realm suffered internal injuries. He spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, he shouted loudly to the high monks of Shaolin Temple, "No matter what happens, don't hurt this child. This is the Buddha's will. It's also your master's wish. Although he has the heavenly slaughter star within him, he's not the demon you imagine. He will only reveal his killing intent to those who kill. I can no longer bear his power, but I must do what I can. These are all the teachings my master gave me. My room contains the notes on my research and cultivation methods. You may all take them. Let the Shaolin disciples carefully study them." Then, he let out a loud shout. He unleashed the supreme ability of the Buddhist secret manual. A giant golden palm appeared behind him. The entire sky was illuminated by the golden light. As the golden light faded, the two of them fell from the sky. The mortal realm, having expended too much energy, was on the verge of collapse. Meanwhile, the Eastern trade had returned to peace. He looked at the extremely weak mortal realm, and asked, "Why are you doing this to me?" The weak mortal realm replied, "I don't know. It's all my damn master's fault. But I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I just hope that in the future, when you're alive, you'll often come back to Shaolin Temple to visit." At this moment, Dongfang Maui was already in tears. Fan Jie also breathed his last. Dongfang Maui and Shen Shuixiang left Shaolin Temple, and prepared to continue searching for a solution. And just then, a black dot suddenly appeared in the distance, rapidly approaching here. It was Quan Hui, who was heading to the 5 Emperor City. He had investigated the whereabouts of Dongfang Maui's mother. The last place she disappeared was near a brothel by Fanyang Lake. Dongfang Maui trembled with rage upon learning this. The Kunlun 5 Immortals power within him was on the verge of erupting. Quan Hui held him tightly. Soon, peace was restored to the Dongfang trade. He had his entire guard escort him to Fanyang Lake. Several men arrived at the brothel. They seized the madam. Under the threat of death, the madam spilled everything she knew. From her, they learned that the mother of Dongfang trade, Jin Linghua, was no longer there. He was initially sold here by people from the 5 Emperor City, but due to his weak physique, he couldn't quench his thirst, so they locked him up to recuperate. But after only a few days, he secretly ran away. Dongfang Trading didn't believe it. He asked him to find witnesses to prove it. At this time, the manager remembered Anxiang, the woman he was imprisoned with back then. The woman took a drag of her cigarette and said, "That's right. That woman died or ran away back then. And because of that, I received a severe beating from him." At this moment, the manager glared at him fiercely. After hearing what the woman said, Dongfang Trading believes his mother has already left this place. But now she's lost her direction again. She finally decided to go to Wuhuang City. As she left, All the guards looked at the silent Dongfang Trading. Then, he raised his hand and killed the brothel manager. Late at night, Dongfang Trading secretly got up alone, glanced at Shen Shuixiang who was still asleep, and then left the inn alone. His mother and sister contracted a contagious disease and were taken away for isolation. While he was left alone, hiding in the cellar, afraid to make a sound. He initially thought it was just a common case of leprosy, but he never expected that a sinister plot was hidden behind it. The boy was actually the Golden Hunter, Qi Fan Gui, in his childhood. Originally, after Dongfang Trading left alone, due to traveling for a long time and using light skills, his body couldn't take it anymore, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood on the way. He was resting by the river and drinking water, when he happened to meet Chifa, who was drinking alone by the river. He was crying while looking at a doll at that moment. It turned out that Chifa was the son of the iron-blooded general. The ruthless eight-backed blade was indeed a treasured sword bestowed by the late emperor. His whole family contracted leprosy back then. He was the only one who remained unscathed. The day before the officials came to take them away for isolation, his father hid him in the cellar. Then his father died. His mother and sister were taken away for isolation the next day. His sister cried and called out for him as she left. He cried his heart out in the cellar but dared not come out. He never saw his mother and sister again after that. He only knew that all leprosy patients were isolated on the island of Rikuzen, though he couldn't go to see them. But he donates money every year to improve the lives of the lepers on the island. There are thousands of people on the island, so the amount of money needed is enormous. To earn money, he became a bounty hunter. He desperately earns money so that his mother and sister can live better lives on Kuzu Island. After learning this, the Oriental Trading Company forced the red-haired devil to let the queen express her willingness to personally visit Kuzu Island to see his mother and sister. Kuzu Island is where lepers live. No ordinary person would willingly go there. But Dongfang Trading is a dying man, so he's not afraid of being infected at all. Every once in a while, the government would send supplies to Lujuan Island. That's why Fa Gui always gives money to the officials, allowing them to buy some daily necessities and send them to the island. This time, I've prepared a whole shipload of grapes. The official said his sister wanted to eat grapes. The red-haired devil was deeply moved. He gave them a lot more money this time, for them to buy supplies. On the other hand, Dongfang Maoyi had secretly boarded the ship. He lay on the deck, looking at the sky. Then he heard the official's conversation from inside the cabin. Immediately, he broke in. He killed all these officials. It turned out that these people had been deceiving Red Hair all along. Just now, they were discussing how to divide the money among themselves. Eastern Trade overheard everything clearly. Red Hair's mother had died long ago. Now, only his sister is still alive on the island. But these people never went to the island, so I've never met him. I only heard that his sister was still alive. After learning the truth, Dongfang Trading became even angrier. He killed all those officials. Upon arriving at the island, he searched everywhere for information about the girl. Finally, he found her in a dilapidated house. At this point, he was already at death's door. Dongfang Trading took out the cloth he used to play with back then. Seeing the toy, he wanted to reach for it. At that moment, Dongfang Trading noticed that the girl's 10 fingers were gone. He didn't know how much suffering she had endured here. Then, he channeled a trace of his internal energy into the girl's body, to maintain his remaining life force. Dongfang Trading told the girl, his brother is doing well abroad. He thinks of him constantly. He shed tears of joy after hearing this. Dongfang picked up the girl and prepared to leave. Because the girl didn't have much time left, in her final moments, Dongfang hoped to let the siblings see each other. But when they arrived at the dock, the boat had already left. Finally, he found a small boat in the corner that hadn't been overturned. Dongfang Maui scooped the girl onto the boat. Then, he struck backwards with his internal energy, using the recoil to propel the boat forward. As Dongfang Maui continued to use his internal energy, he started to experience some symptoms. But he knew these were symptoms of poisoning. The toxin spreading through his body caused symptoms similar to leprosy. He glanced at the girl again. The girl's body was full of toxins. He was even more certain it was toxins. Remembering what the red-haired devil had told him, Dongfang Maui instantly understood what had happened. Someone had scared his family members to death. They only contracted leprosy after arriving at Luchuan Island. Otherwise, his father couldn't have died so suddenly. Someone is plotting against the Akahij family. The boat to and from Shika Island returned. Akahij learned the whole truth. He was furious, never imagining that the money he'd given them over the years had been embezzled. Whether his mother and sister are still alive is unknown. He looked out at the sea, waiting for the east. He didn't know how long he'd been out in the rain. A small boat gradually appeared on the sea. It was the Dongfang trading. He was holding a girl in his arms. The siblings finally met again after many years. His sister was no longer the same as before. She had been tortured by illness and toxins, and was no longer human. But Chi Fan Gui recognized her at a glance. At this time, Dongfang Maui shouted loudly, "Speak up if you have anything to say. He's not going to make it." Chi Fa Gui shouted with tears streaming down his face, "I love you." The girl also said, "Brother, I love you," and then she closed her eyes. Dongfang Maui burned the girl and the small boat together. He calmly lay on the surface of the sea. Tears rolled down his cheek, slowly merging with the sea. He came to Wuhuang City alone. The guards at the city gate thought a leper had arrived. But the next second, he cleaved the city gate with a single blow. The sound quickly attracted a group of guards. Dongfang Maui walked slowly into Wuhuang City, his sword drawn. He charged into the crowd like lightning. These guards fell before him like paper lanterns. As the fight continued, more and more guards arrived. At this moment, Dongfang Maui had only one thought: to kill Zhu Jiao and avenge himself. He roared, and charged into the crowd again. Meanwhile, Shen Shui Xiang and Dongfang Yuan also arrived at the Five Emperors City. After Dongfang Maokai left alone, he and Quan Hui followed him all the way to Wuhuang City. But they didn't find Dongfang Maokai. So Quan Hui waited in Wuhuang City, while Shen Shui Xiang returned to Luoyang to ask Dongfang Yuan for help. Unexpectedly, on the way, he met. So they all went to Wuhuang City together. On the road, they also encountered someone who was looking for Dongfang Maokai. However, they arrived in the Five Emperors City too late. Dongfang Maui had already charged into the Five Emperors City alone. Seeing this, Shifa Gui wanted to rush over to help. But he was stopped by Dongfang Yuan. He told everyone to wait there. He went there alone. At this time, a large number of people had already fallen around Dongfang Maui. And just then, a powerful sword energy slashed towards him. Caught off guard, he was forced back 2.5 meters. After regaining his senses, he knocked the man out with one punch. The martial emperor was extremely shocked when he learned of this. No one knew the true identity of the person who came. Jiao He was also very angry. He and the martial emperor prepared to see who dared to be so bold. On the other side, the Eastern trade was now fighting fiercely, due to using the Hercules power. His body was also nearing its limit. At this moment, he saw the giant Jiao He emerge. He roared with excitement. He saw the enemy he had longed for. At this time, Jiao He was startled. In a hurry, he commanded his men to stop him. Dongfang Trading's forward momentum was instantly halted. He angrily swung the knife in his hand, trying to break through the obstacles. But at this moment, his body had reached its limit. The giant Jiaohe saw that he was exhausted. He wanted to take this opportunity to kill him. At this time, Dongfang Maui yelled, and then, a strong golden light erupted from his body. Then, he used the last of his strength, and threw the weapon in his hand towards the giant Jiaohe. Seeing this, the martial emperor beside him hurriedly drew his sword to block. There was a sharp crack. The sound of a sword breaking came. Immediately afterwards, one of the giant coffin's arms fell to the ground. He looked at his own arm in horror. Then he fainted. The martial emperor quickly caught him. He shouted to the people around him, "Quick, go get a doctor." Meanwhile, Dongfang Trading had exhausted his last ounce of strength. He collapsed to the ground. He felt his life slipping away bit by bit. He wasn't willing to let it end like this. Just then, the energy of the thousand killing star within him suddenly erupted. A vast, icy aura instantly filled the air. The martial emperor was also shocked by this powerful killing intent. He had never seen such a terrifying person. At this moment, he realized that the deaths of the 5 emperors and the demon emperor were the work of the mysterious young man before him. He led his men, charging towards Dongfang Trade first. He wanted to kill him. But just then, a strange whirlwind suddenly appeared, enveloping Dongfang Trade. It flung them all away. They couldn't get close at all. They could only watch helplessly as the whirlwind swept him up. Meanwhile, at the whirlwind center, his grandfather, Dongfang Yuan, was continuously channeling his energy into him, suppressing his rampaging power. But the aura of the Dongfang family grew stronger and stronger. He struggled to open his eyes, and saw his grandfather. He murmured, "Grandpa, I couldn't take revenge. You must avenge me and Mom." After saying that, Dongfang Maui slowly closed his eyes. Tears streamed down his cheeks. At this moment, his grandfather loudly said to him, "You have to force this crazy power into your dantian. I will guide you. Remember, never cut off the airflow, no matter what. If you don't want your grandpa to die with you, you must hold on." Immediately embracing Dongfang Mao, he easily exited the 5 emperor city. They disappeared into a swirling wind. Seeing this, the others quickly followed Dongfang Yuan's departure. At this time, the 5 emperors could only watch helplessly as the whirlwind carried Dongfang Mao away. Dongfang Yuan took him to a cave. This time, he prepared to impart the power of wind and thunder to Dongfang Mao. The boy could finally inherit the family's wind and thunder blade. This was when he was near death. At this time, the Eastern trade was already on its last legs. To receive the power of wind and thunder, he had to remain conscious for 2 hours. No matter the reason, the flow of wind and thunder power into his body could not be interrupted. Following this, Dongfang Yuan prepared to begin transmitting the power of wind and thunder to him. Shen Shui Xiang looked anxious outside at this moment. The housekeeper, Ma, comforted him, saying, "Don't worry. The attack has already begun. The rampant inner energy within Dongfang Trading's body will be dispelled by the power of wind and thunder." At this time, Shen Shui Xiang recalled what Dongfang Trading had told him. There was a mysterious family that could resolve the 5 heart force within his body, and this family should be the Dongfang family. On the other side, the 5 emperor city was destroyed. The focus is on him losing an arm. His son possesses ice-like, a death grip on his steps. His mother's arm was severed. Yet, he's perfectly fine. This enrages Zhu Yubing immensely. With a surge of strength in his hand, the man's neck was brutally crushed. The other guards of the 5 emperor city were all startled, but none dared to step forward. Then Lao Hu handed him a handkerchief. He took it and asked while wiping his hands, "What about the intruder's body?" His subordinate told him, "He escaped, and we don't know who he is. Furthermore, we can't deduce his identity from his martial arts techniques." Zhu Yubin was furious. He ordered them to quickly investigate the person's identity. At this time, his father, the current martial emperor, appeared. He glanced at Huan, whose neck had been crushed on the ground. "Did you do this?" Zhu Yubin didn't answer. He just looked on silently. The martial emperor was a little annoyed. His voice grew louder. He asked, "I'm asking you a question. Did you do it?" The giant soldier said indifferently, "Yes. As a protector." He hadn't fulfilled his responsibility. The martial emperor was furious after hearing this. He was about to raise his hand and hit him. But just then, the old servant beside him also placed his hand on his sword. If he dared to make a move, he would not hesitate to attack the martial emperor. Seeing a servant dare to draw his sword at him, the martial emperor said without anger, "You dare to prepare to raise your sword at me?" The old man said coldly, "If you dare to harm the young master's body, that might really happen." The 5th emperor trembled. The old man wasn't from the 5th emperor city. He didn't need to obey the 5th emperor's orders. He was a master placed beside Zhu Yubing by the former 5th emperor. Just as the two were about to fight, Zhu Yubing stopped the old man. He turned and left. He simply looked down on this pathetic father. Before leaving, he said, "Don't ever call yourself my father again. That made me feel sick." On the other hand, Dongfang Yuan had completed the transmission, but he lost an arm. It turned out that it was because he was poisoned too deeply by the Dongfang trade. The toxins could not be completely eliminated. Having no other choice, Dongfang Yuan forced the poison into his left hand. At this time, Dongfang Mao also understood. The mysterious family that Kunlun's 5 immortals mentioned was the Dongfang family. Kunlun's 5 immortals were imprisoned by the ancestor of the Dongfang family. Although Dongfang Yuan had passed on the power of wind and thunder to Dongfang Mao, he couldn't sense the power of wind and thunder now. He couldn't use the wind and thunder blade either. To truly inherit the wind and thunder sect, one needs to practice the 100 sections skill to use the wind and thunder blade. Even if you master the wind and thunder blade, it should not be used lightly. It can only be used when absolute evil appears. Otherwise, it will disrupt the world's order. And it can also be used when protecting the ancestors' imperial edict. Otherwise, absolutely not. Dongfang Mao impatiently said at this moment, "I've agreed to everything you said. Just hurry up and teach me how to use the broken bow." He still needs to take revenge and kill to quell the fire. Dongfang Yuan knew he couldn't stop him. He just wanted him to avoid pushing his martial arts to the extreme while killing. A year later, Red Hair Demon was sparring with Quan, the bodyguard. They frequently practiced martial arts and tested their skills against each other throughout the year. Just as their fight reached its peak, both sensed a dangerous energy emanating from beneath the ground. Immediately, a massive surge of energy burst from the earth, shooting straight into the sky. In an instant, the sky changed color. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The immense energy returned in the next second, rushing towards them again. It flew between the two of them, finally landing in the hands of Dongfang Trade, who had just emerged from seclusion. It was the wind and thunder blade. Having become the world's greatest martial artist, the young man's first act was to avenge his brothers. Dongfang Trade inherited the wind and thunder blade. He didn't return to Luoyang's Wulin alliance. Instead, he went to the imperial palace. He wanted to avenge Red Hair Ghost. Dongfang Trading told him the truth he knew. Before, Red Hair Ghost had always thought he just had an infectious disease. But he never expected that someone was poisoning him behind the scenes. Now that he knew the truth, he was filled with rage. Late at night, they arrived at the imperial palace. First, find Princess Xiaoling. Then, have him summon the Ming Emperor here. The Ming Emperor was very pleased to see Dongfang Maui. 2 years unseen. His facial scars had disappeared. Quan Hui and Chifa Gui knelt down in fear upon seeing the Emperor, and dared not speak. Unexpectedly, Dongfang Maui conversed with the Emperor like friends. At this time, the Emperor noticed the two kneeling on the ground. The red-haired demon handed the ruthless 8-back blade to the Emperor. The Emperor of the Great Ming examined it closely after receiving it. This blade was precisely the treasured sword bestowed by the late Emperor upon the iron-blooded general. The red-haired demon's real name was Long Hua. He was the son of the iron-blooded general, Long Zheshi. The red-haired demon requested the Emperor's permission to take revenge. From the side, the Oriental trader informed the Emperor that the iron-blooded general had been poisoned by a slow-acting toxin. This poison is unavailable outside, only within the army. Is the biggest suspect, General Li Chengchong of the Golden Star Army. He wants to borrow some clothes from the Emperor, then go seek revenge under the guise of a secret agent. He only needs the Emperor to take care of the aftermath. But the Emperor fears they've misjudged, and angered General Li Chengchong of the Golden Star Army. It would be difficult to handle. Recently, General Jinxing's strength has recovered. This has been making the Emperor very displeased. Furthermore, he forced the Emperor to marry Princess Xiaoling to him. Princess Xiaoling was completely unwilling. After learning about this, Eastern Trade expressed that they would help teach them a lesson. The Emperor immediately changed his attitude. He agreed to Eastern Trade's request. Under the cover of night, they arrived at General Jinxing's mansion. They fought their way in, slaughtering anyone who stood in their path. Li Chengchong noticed that the intruders were dressed like the spies he'd seen at the banquet and martial arts competition. He was shocked. Could it be that the Emperor sent people to kill him? He shouldn't be that foolish. Just as he was puzzled, the red-haired devil removed his mask. My name is Ronghua. Li Chengchong was completely dumbfounded. What does your name, Ronghua, have to do with me? Then the red-haired devil continued, it's been so long, I've forgotten. I am the iron-blooded general that you poisoned back then. Hearing this, Li Chengchong trembled. Looking at his face again, he does bear some resemblance to the iron-blooded general from back then. After regaining his composure, he feigned ignorance. What poison? I don't know anything about it at all. Why are you, dressed in secret agent uniforms, barging into my home? Dongfang Maui stepped forward and said, don't deny it. The head of the Weaponry Manufacturing Bureau has revealed everything about the slow poison. Seeing the appearance of the person from East Trade, he realized it was the skilled secret agent who participated in the martial arts competition at the banquet years ago. Li Qingchang was still wondering if this was the emperor's order. At this moment, Chifa Gui's expression changed. His eyes turned sharp. He slowly approached Li Qingchang with his sword in hand. Li Qingchang's face was filled with fear. He shouted loudly, don't come near. At that moment, a flash of blade light appeared. Li Qingchang's sword hadn't even swung yet, and his sword arm was severed from his body at that moment. Then, another blade sliced through him vertically. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed. The wall beside him was shattered by a powerful force. A white-haired elder with a weapon was seen charging towards the red-haired demon. He slashed out with his sword. In a moment of panic, red-haired ghost retreated 2 meters, dodging the attack. And at that moment, Li Zhengwan came running from somewhere, crying out, "Father," loudly to Li Qingchang lying on the ground. He glared fiercely at everyone. At that moment, he saw Dongfang Mao. His expression involuntarily twitched. Li Zhenwan helped his injured father up and prepared to leave. Fa Gui, upon seeing this, wanted to step forward and stop them, but he was stopped by the old man. He swung his knife, but he hadn't even hit the old man yet. The old man was knocked flying by a powerful force. He crashed heavily into the pillar behind him. At this moment, Dongfang Trading said to Chifa Gui, "Go after him quickly. Leave this old man to me." Chifa Gui glanced at him. Then he quickly chased after the direction Li Qingchang was running. At this time, the old man could only watch him helplessly. He dared not act rashly, because from the young man in front of him, he felt a powerful threat. On the other side, Li Qingchang and his son were backed into a corner. Some guards had gathered around them. The red-haired demon shouted, "Anyone who stands in my way will die." He slowly approached Li Qingchang and his son, sword in hand. None of the surrounding guards dared to step forward. Li Qingchang had fallen into despair. "Why are you doing this to me?" The red-haired demon didn't answer. Instead, he directly stabbed him. Then, with another kick, he sent Li Zhenwan flying. How could the red-haired demon let him die so easily? The next second, a punch shattered his nose bridge. Then, punches rained down on him. Li Yubin, standing nearby, watched his father being brutally beaten. He cried out, "Father," with tears in his eyes. But at this moment, the guards' swords were already at his throat. He could only watch helplessly as his father was brutally beaten. Tears streamed down his face uncontrollably. And at that moment, there was a loud bang. Immediately afterwards, a figure flew in. Then it fell heavily to the ground. The next second, Dongfang Mao flashed into view before everyone. The person who flew in was the elderly man who had rushed in to save Li Qingchang and his son earlier. His eyes were swollen red at this moment. He didn't know how many teeth he had lost. He had been beaten into a pulp. And just then, everyone heard footsteps coming from behind them. They turned around. It was seen that the emperor, accompanied by a group of imperial guards, was rushing towards them. Upon seeing the emperor's arrival, everyone knelt down in unison. Only Dongfang Maui remained standing to the side. Seeing this, the imperial guard loudly rebuked, "Do you want to die? Haven't you seen the emperor? Kneel down." The emperor waved his hand, "It's all right. Stand down." And then, he revealed the crimes of General Li Qingchang, the Golden Star General. He exposed the fact that Li Qingchang and the head of the armament department had conspired to frame the iron-blooded general. After the investigation confirmed the evidence, the emperor ordered the execution of Li Qingchang and his 9 kindred. At this moment, red-haired ghost wept uncontrollably. His years of hatred were finally avenged. His father, mother, and sister in heaven could finally rest in peace. The next day, the Dongfang trading delegation bid farewell to the emperor. They left the palace. But not long after they left, the emperor received shocking news. The Ming princess, out of reverence for a martial arts expert, had secretly slipped out of the palace. Upon learning this, the emperor flew into a rage. The princess had gone to seek out the eastern trade. Unbeknownst to anyone, he fell for this Jianghu youth. He was deeply attracted to this straightforward man, but he didn't know where to find him. But this time, he was determined. He wouldn't return to the palace without finding Dongfang Trading. As they were passing through a secluded mountain path, they encountered two sleazy men. One of them had red hair. He claimed to be the red-haired demon. He asked if they needed help. The princess, seeing the man's sleazy appearance, knew their words were lies. Because she knew the red-haired demon, seeing their pleas were ineffective, the two men tried to attack directly. The princess cried out. Then he pulled out his small self-defense knife. Seeing him produce such an exquisite knife, the two broke into smiles. They didn't expect to gain both wealth and beauty today. They didn't take the knife seriously at all. Seeing that they weren't afraid, the imperial daughter quickly shielded the princess behind her. She loudly declared, "This is Princess Xiaoling of the Great Ming imperial family. Aren't you leaving yet?" The two men were startled at first. Then they burst into laughter. They simply didn't believe the woman before them. If she were a princess, then they themselves would be emperors. With no effort at all, they hoisted the two women onto their shoulders, ready to enjoy unparalleled pleasure. Just as they were fantasizing about a happy life, a sudden, pungent smell wafted over. It smelled like someone who hadn't showered for years. They took a closer sniff. It wasn't a woman's scent. As they searched for the source of the odor, a pair of eyes glowing green suddenly appeared from the nearby bushes. Then, a massive figure slowly emerged. The two men hurriedly threw the woman off their shoulders. They drew their weapons. It turned out that the big man had just been squatting to defecate, but he had his peace disturbed by these two. Seeing them abducting an innocent woman, the big man stepped forward. Before they could attack, the big man asked them their names. The red-haired man said seriously, "The bounty hunter, red-haired ghost." The strong man was instantly furious after hearing that. Now, just anyone dares to call themselves the red-haired ghost just by dyeing their hair red. Seeing his disbelief, the red-haired man looked bewildered and said, "Liaoning double ghosts." Hearing their names, the strong man burst into laughter. "They're just the Liaoning double dogs, chased out for being unable to make it in Liaoning." The red-haired man asks the burly man's name. Guohongji immediately raises his large sword high. A flash of blade light is seen. The Liaoning double ghosts' positions instantly change. After taking them down, Guohongji tells the princess to watch out for her safety. The Jianghu is too dangerous. It's not suitable for weak women to wander around. Having finished speaking, she turned around and prepared to leave. But just then, the princess called out to her. She knew it would be difficult for her to travel alone in the martial world, and Guohongji appeared to be an upright man. So she hoped that Guohongji could protect her, until she found Dongfang Trade. And she offered him the dragon sparrow sword, which her father, the Hongji Emperor Zhu Jianshan, had bestowed upon her, as a reward. Guohongji examined it carefully. It was indeed a fine sword. However, he didn't know who Dongfang Trading was. The princess told him he could look for Chifague. Dongfang Trading might be with him. Although Guohongji had never met Chifague, he had heard of Chifague's reputation, and his red hair was very easy to recognize. So he agreed to her request. Although she said she was a princess, Guohongji still had his doubts. He knew that the martial arts world was about to hold the Junlong conference. So he took the princess and prepared to go there to look for him. On the way, Guohongji was very curious. He asked, "Why do you want to find the guy called Dongfang Trading?" Hearing the question, Princess Zhu Zhenjin's face flushed slightly. Guohongji instantly understood. The maid beside him told him not to worry so much. Focus on guarding and traveling. Guohongji instantly became unwilling. With such little money, and being lectured by Zhu Zhenjin's face darkened. "Yes, he's the person I like." Guohongji thought that the man had found a new love and didn't want his old one anymore. Actually, it's just Zhu Zhenjin's one-sided affection. Dongfang Trading didn't know. At this moment, he didn't know how to react after meeting. Should he confess directly, or should he shout out, "I like you"? The more he thought about it, the more depressed Zhu Zhenjin became. Guohongji saw that he was in low spirits. He said loudly, "I will definitely help you find him. Please don't keep looking so downcast." As soon as he finished speaking, a burst of loud laughter came. The lover of Princess Daming is truly laughable. Suddenly, a group of strangers appeared. Guo Hongji immediately drew his sword. He looked at the newcomers with a wary expression. Who are you? Zhu Zhenjin saw the leader, a man in red. His expression changed. He recognized the man. He was the one who had fought at the banquet, and had his arm cut off by Dongfang Trading, Zhuo Yifei. He never expected to meet him here. Meanwhile, Zhuo Yifei was attempting to kidnap the Ming princess. He's currently without guards. It's the perfect opportunity. Using him to threaten Eastern trade is a good plan. Eastern trade's martial arts are quite strange. He has no confidence at all. So it turns out Zhuo Yifei is a person from Xia Tian. And Li Qingchang is also supported by Xia Tian behind the scenes. After that arm-breaking fight, he returned to Xia Tian to heal his wounds. During these 2 years, the image of Dongfang trade lingered in his mind. He thought of revenge constantly. Now, a perfect opportunity presented itself. Zhuo Yifei told Guo Hongji to leave quickly, to spare his life. But Guo Hongji was also a man who kept his word. Since I promised to protect Zhu Zhenjin's safety, I will absolutely not back down. He turned his head to Zhu Zhenjin behind him and said, so it really is Her Highness the Princess. I'm a rather suspicious person. I have been impolite this time. Please forgive me. Rest assured, even if 100 people come from the opposite side, I wouldn't care about them either. Hearing their conversation, Zhuo Yifei couldn't help but burst into laughter. He's just a Ronin dancer. What's he talking about? Guo Hongji was very disdainful. What's wrong with being a Ronin? He's still much better than you, old man with one arm. Hearing him say that, Zhuo Yifei instantly flew into a rage. This severed arm was his 7-foot-long upper arm. He drew the long sword from his back, and led his men in a furious assault. Guo Hongji also met them, long sword in hand. In an instant, he was enveloped in a whirlwind of blades. The other side had the advantage in numbers. Soon, Guo Hongji's shoulder was cut by a blade. In a moment of urgency, he slashed out a green blade. Meanwhile, Zhuo Yifei also unleashed a golden blade energy. The two energies collided. The green blade energy was instantly dispersed. Following that, the golden blade energy struck Guo Ji heavily. Both sides fought more intensely. Guo Hongji was gradually losing ground. He fought back while retreating. By now, he had retreated to the edge of the cliff. He was also injured in several places. He had just deflected an attack with his blade, when he was stabbed in the abdomen. Immediately after, Zhuo Yifei struck him with a palm and knocked him off the cliff. He was the top martial arts expert in the world. Now, he's a bodyguard at the Wulin Alliance. Not long after returning to Luoyang and the Wulin Alliance, Dongfang Maui was sent by the alliance leader to protect Tang, the military strategist, on his trip to the Junlong Conference. Clan chief Wen Rushue also went with them. The Junlong Conference is a meeting held for the peace of the martial arts world. Both Wuhuang City and Modi City sent elite forces to participate. Meanwhile, the Divine Doctor was preparing the conference venue. At this time, a strange mother and son came to apply for a job. The woman said her name was Jean Shan. The child has quite a bit of brute strength, but he's also a bit simple-minded. Aunt Shan felt sorry for the mother and child, so she agreed to let them work at the Junlong Club. Actually, the mother and son had been encountered a year prior, by both Oriental Trade and Shenshui Village. At that time, Shenshui Village, while pursuing Oriental Trade who had left alone, encountered the mother and son on the road to Wuhou City. At that time, they took him advantage of Shen Shuixiang's unguarded moment. They forced him to be a wife for their foolish son. While they were out working, Shen Shuixiang used inner strength to control a flying knife and cut the ropes binding him. However, he unexpectedly discovered a huge secret. Their house was actually filled with homemade explosives. Meanwhile, Dongfang Trading encountered the mother and son in Wuhuang City. The woman felt pity for him. He was given a rice ball. Now, the mother and son have infiltrated the Junlong society. They're trying to secretly plant gunpowder under the seats. On the other hand, the Dongfang Trading Group was getting tired from their journey. They found an inn and wanted to rest, but they were told it was fully booked. They had no choice but to set up tents outside. They encountered colleagues rushing to the Junlong society. The shoes were worn by the Grandmaster Zhuo Renxiong. The inn was officially booked by them. The Minister of Supervision and the strategist Tang Jianxiu were exchanging pleasantries with him there. This matter had not ended for a long time. Dongfang Maui, who was waiting aside, was getting impatient. At this moment, he was both tired and hungry. He just wanted to have a hearty meal. Then he wanted to sleep. Their conversation was interrupted by Dongfang Trading. Zhuo Renxiong noticed he didn't use honorifics when speaking to his superiors, and 2 guards stood behind him. He assumed he was a big shot or a martial arts expert. He hurried forward to greet him. "My name is Zhuo Renxiong." Dongfang Trading stood up and said, "Dongfang Trading." Zhuo Renxiong pondered his name for a long time. He couldn't figure out which big shot it was related to. Dongfang Maui spoke casually, "I heard you've booked the entire inn. Although you arrived first, we have several ladies with us. Could you spare a few rooms?" The Master Xiong saw that he was facing a small grandmaster. He was surprised that his tone was still so calm. So he thought he was a master at reversing the aging process. Thus, he readily agreed. Dongfang Maui laughed heartily. He really wasn't used to sleeping outside. He took Shen Shui Xiang and Tang Jinxiu towards the room. Seeing them about to leave, Zhuo Renxiong became a little anxious. He called out to Dongfang Maui and asked about his nickname. Dongfang Maui was completely dumbfounded. He didn't have any nicknames. While Zhuo Renxiong believed he was a true reclusive expert, so it was quite normal for him not to have a nickname. At this moment, Dongfang Maui muttered, "Should I take this chance to make up a nickname for him?" Shen Shui Xiang, who was standing beside him, said, "Young master is a martial arts novice. It's normal for him not to have one." Hearing novice, Zhuo Renxiong was completely dumbfounded. Then, Dongfang Maui continued, "You all have nicknames. Merciless 8 Cups Knife, Red-Haired Ghost, Black Envoy, those are all nicknames. And the Martial Alliance leader says I'm the #1 bodyguard in the world. That name is too old-fashioned." Zhuo Renxiong's face showed disbelief. He said, "You just said you're a bodyguard?" Dongfang Maui said with a serious expression, "I didn't say bodyguard. But he's the undefeated, #1 bodyguard in the world." At this moment, Zhuo Renxiong still couldn't believe it. So he asked about Dongfang Maui's age. Upon learning that he was only 21 years old, he was instantly stunned. At this time, the Inspector General beside him added that he was a bodyguard from the back door of the Martial Arts Alliance. Because he never went to school as a child, so he never uses polite language when speaking. Zhuo Renxiong, upon learning the truth, was so furious that his face turned crimson. A mere guard dared to be so insolent to him, a small grandmaster. He even claimed to be the world's #1 invincible guard. Even the former Martial Emperor and Demon Emperor didn't dare to call themselves the world's #1. He found this unbearable. At this moment, the Minister of Supervision said from the side, "It's not just about being the world's #1 guard. Even if he weren't a guard, he might still be the world's #1. Zhuo Renxiong listened with a shocked expression. Seeing his misfortune, the Inspector General added, "This is not what I said, but what the Martial Alliance's leader, Che Chongha, said." But Zhuo Renxiong still found it utterly absurd. He wanted to confirm it himself. Immediately, he raised his sword and aimed it towards the East Trade Sub.